ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. Here I am, Diana Clarion, the Lavender Lady, and I'm here for part two of my own part of the presentation to get Doc Fearsome some wheels. We've been going, for the love of St. Claude, we have been going since I started this off yesterday at noon. I actually had to kind of fall into bed and die for a while. Oh God, it might have been 4 or 5 a.m. Because we had just kept going and going and going, and weren't planning on doing that at all. But it just sort of got itself going, and we kept the donations coming, and that was a very good thing. Um, let's see here. I'm looking at the fundraiser page for Doc Fearsome, and it stands right now at 850. That's US dollars. It's my understanding that Doc has another, I think it's 240, maybe 220 in PayPal. So the total is something over $1,000 of the $3,500 goal. So that's pretty good, but we're still not quite there. So we really need to do something about that. I'm gonna here on the side drop the link for the what is it you call that thing? The fundraiser. Yes, that's what you call it. The fundraiser, the thing that raises funds. All right. Where are we? We need to do some inviting because I'd like to have some people here besides me. Because if all you hear is me, you're going to get really bored really quickly. And we don't want that. No, we want you to stick around and we want you to enjoy yourself and thereby be all happy and reach into your pockets and throw Doc a few dollars. I'm going to bring up Twitter here, and we're going to go into the messages. And gee, I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking at the. I'm looking at Purple Rhymes with Orange. He sent me a DM. I could try that. I could try asking Kate. Let's see what happens. Okay, so yeah, Purple. I sent you a join link. Hopefully, you can come on in. Let me see who else I can send here. I know what I can do. We can do this. I know you're there. Okay, I've dropped a join link into the group DM that all of us have been using to coordinate and to talk and to get things going. And hopefully we'll have some stuff going there. And let me stand back for half a second and see how many people actually decide to show up. Okay, we have, and there's the Purple Sweetie. Hi, Purple Sweetie.
Hello.
Yay! How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I'm getting a
Okay.
little bit of an echo here. I may actually have to put headphones on. Oh,
I'm not noticing the echo here.
okay. Okay. Hopefully we can get by for that for a while. Are
So,
you are you
is
still
anybody in
awake
the
or?
side chat hearing an echo?
Yeah, we'll find out there. Let me see what we've got.
I'm sorry.
Um,
What were you trying to ask me there?
I forget. Guys, don't get old. The memory goes really quickly. Um, oh, okay. So Dragon Queen is doing some things at home. That's okay. That's fine. We love you anyway. And there's Mrs. Nielsen. Hi, Mrs. Nielsen. Yay! Who else do we have in the side chat here? All righty. I see Linda, and I see Morton, and I see Dragon Queen, and I see Robert, and I feel like Miss Barbara, and this is Romper Room. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert X has really been keeping up with the whole thing and keeping the links going there.
You know, okay, yeah, there's something to ask. Do you know if Doc went night-night?
Yeah,
He
Doc
did.
went to
Okay,
bed.
so I won't drop him a link. It's about time he goes night-night. He's been up for a while.
We kind of had to force him into it, actually, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, he had been saying for like an hour that he was going to bed, and he just wouldn't do it.
So he had to hold a chloroform-soaked cloth over his nose, and
Yeah,
okay, we got it. And you know, it's something I'm going to ask if nobody minds. Trying to see who all we've got in here. Is it the usual crew, or do we have anybody else? I like the way Angie put it earlier. If we can play Bring a Friend to Church, and if everybody has a friend they can tap on the shoulder to bring into the audience over on the side chat watching this little thing, that would be really, really wonderful. That might be a way that we can spread the word and you know, spread the news that Doc needs his wheels, and maybe we can actually get some stuff going here. So, Puff, you have sound. YouTube blows on mobile. Yeah, tautology, definitely. It's amazing the way this stuff works. I hope things are working well for everybody on this StreamYard thing. So I'm here because Google kind of stuffed us with Hangouts, and it didn't even feel good. I'm waiting until Wednesday to be able to hopefully use the other Google chat form along with YouTube and get things going that way. We'll see what happens there. Hi, IQ. How you doing? I have plenty of room here. See, who do we have? May, where are you? You asked Ed, can I get a join link, please? And I dropped a link, so I'm just waiting for you to come by. Love to see your face. And okay, what else you got going up there in the Great White North? Purple.
yeah, I've been just pretty much going back and forth with Twitter with everyone I can think of, and any possible way I could get this promoted a little better.
Yeah. We had our last GoFundMe donation about 6 hours ago. And as I say, it did bring us up to $850, which is not inconsiderable. It is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
We got a little way to go yet.
Well, and I'm not sure. Doc didn't give us an updated total, but I know that he's received at least $200 through PayPal.
Yeah, I think it was about 220, 210, I forget, something like that. So that would give us about
a bit over 1,000.
Yeah. So that's about a third of the way there. That's air in the tires.
Yeah.
So you need gas in the tank and you're all set. And this is the thing that for Doc, it is a real necessity. You know, it's amazing the way American society has evolved to become absolutely dependent upon motor vehicles. I, for example, am in a small township just outside Pittsburgh, and you really need a motor vehicle to get around. But I'm not as dependent on a motor vehicle as someone like Doc, where he is. He's even more dependent than I am.
Yeah, well,
that's amazing.
Doc is really in a situation where if he doesn't get a car before the weather turns, he's going to have trouble keeping his job.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where things get really, really screwed up, because he's walking about 90 minutes one way to his place of employment. And to do that in the winter of the Midwest, this is not a good thing.
He did say he's gotten lucky this week with getting rides most days, but
well, there's a thing
he can't
too.
Depend on that to be continuing indefinitely.
Absolutely, yeah. The kindness of strangers can be counted on only so much. So it's
a matter of how many times is somebody willing to do it before they just get annoyed.
Right, absolutely. And this is where we come in to give him a hand in achieving that bit of independence. I mean, this is what U.S. society is all about. We're a very independent people. It's amazing how I remember somebody, I wish I could remember who it was that was writing about how mothers in America were complaining that their kids were too independent as they grew up. And then you look at a society like that of Japan, mothers complaining how their kids are too dependent when that society raised them to be that way. So I guess you get what you pay for. But that's neither here nor there. We simply need to get Doc to his place of employment so he can get groceries and things like that. Rent. Those luxuries. Those things you really don't need, but they're nice to have. Oh, Lord, who have we got with us? Hey, Robert. God, you're starting to talk like me. See you on the other side.
Puffle up, I guess. Doc actually the car in the thumbnail is one that Doc's already put a small deposit down on.
Yeah.
So he's already got one picked out. I'm not sure what the maker model is.
I'm not either. He had mentioned what it was, and it's not.
Oh, that's right. It's the Ford Focus sedan. I should remember that. Basically, it's the 4-door version of the one I have.
Oh! I am so sorry. So sorry. Oh my word. Oh, I am so sorry. I am so freaking sorry. I did not see you, Angie. I didn't see you, May. I was looking at other stuff, and that's the one bad thing about this, but you can flog me later.
That's okay.
That's one of the things with this SteamYard. Until we get used to it, you got to pay attention to let people in.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do that with my other, the one I'm looking at is Google Meet, and it operates in a similar manner. So I'm going to have to become accustomed to looking at the backstage, if you want to call it that. And
I do mine. If I put the StreamYard in a separate window, and if you're the host, you can see the YouTube chat. So I just expand that one window, and then I can see everybody. And for the most part, underneath, they don't get hidden as bad unless you get pushed.
I have the YouTube chat popped out, and just sitting over the StreamYard chat.
Yeah, that's the way I've got it.
I keep forgetting.
Of course, I've got my video game on the other screen.
God, May, I am so sorry. You had been back there 10 minutes.
I actually had to. No, I haven't been back there that long, and I actually had to restart Chrome because it was being derpy because my computer is being my computer is. I need more RAM, and Chrome has lots of memory leaks and stuff, basically.
Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yeah.
And Firefox, and Edge, and IE, and Opera. I've tried them all.
Okay, somebody's echoing. I'm gonna mute me. Make sure it's.
It shouldn't be me.
Okay, is it you? I don't know if it's me or not. I'm listening, and I'm not. I'm the one who has the speakers at the top of my hutch, right by the microphone. But this microphone is somewhat directional. But if it is picking stuff up, then I'll have to say it's gotta be me.
I think it might be.
Gotta be me.
I'm on headphones,
That's okay.
so
It's not horrible. I just hear it.
All right then. Wait a minute now.
Okay, I don't think it was mine,
God,
but
that
is
picture
anybody
is of
hearing
a
it when
Jelly
I'm
Bean
talking?
Taurus. Is that a Jelly Bean Taurus? Is that what that is?
I don't think so.
A jelly bean Taurus? What's a jelly bean? I mean, I know
No,
what a jelly bean
I'm pretty
candy
sure he
is.
said it was the Focus. I don't.
Oh.
Let me look here, actually, because I think that I had a picture of it. I'm pretty sure he said it was the Focus, which, like I said, and that's the sedan model of the one I have. And that's mine has been surprisingly reliable for its age.
I got my very first ever new car like 3 years ago, and I love it. Every car I'd ever had was a piece of crap up to that point. So
I don't even have a license.
I've never owned a new car in my life, and I'm not even sure. Probably not more than 2 or 3 of them that were even less than 10 years old when I got them.
My mom got her first new car, I think, ever, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I have owned one new car. I had it for 11 years. Was 79 Mustang sedan, 2-door. It was the first of the K bodies. Love that car.
Sucky.
The one I had before that was a Pinto station wagon. It was not the kind that blew up. That was the hatchback. But I think that was
the Pinto, the first car with an external combustion engine.
Yeah. I actually did like that station wagon, though. It was great for hauling stuff around. And there was room in the back for me and my girlfriend. And okay. Shitski.
I actually did it with a girlfriend who was 6'4" in Geo Metro.
I had a girlfriend who was 6'4" once. Oh, right. I'm not.
I'm 6'7". It's a big summer gun.
I have not had any relationships long term anyway with someone taller than I. I dated a girl who was 5'11" or 5'10" or something like that, a little bit taller than I am. And that was about it.
Damn, I look high.
Are you high?
No, I'm just tired. But I look high. I look really stoned.
Well, it can actually have the same effect at a certain point.
Well, the older I get, the more eyelids I have. So when I smile, it looks like my eyes are closed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the fun part is when you're going on about the 3rd day without sleep and you start hallucinating.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I've gone a few days without sleep before, and I wasn't hallucinating. So I don't know.
I did that in my 20s. I can't do that now.
I never
first
try
thing-
to do it. It's just sometimes my brain doesn't give me a choice.
Yeah. Let's see. Stayed up 60 hours straight once. And then there was a few days where I also didn't get like any sleep over a few days. I think I might have ended up dozing, but just the conditions I was living in at the time prevented me from getting any real sleep.
Well, thank you, Faye. That's so sweet. She said something nice to me, and she's not even happy today. Bless your heart, Faye. I love you.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think
You're
that
welcome.
the conditions I grew up with may have a lot to do with why I don't sleep or I sleep very lightly.
Oh my. 50 miles a gallon on the highway. That wasn't a bad number there, Puff. Oh, hi, Faye. Yay.
Yeah, my Geo Metro was able to get 50 miles per gallon when it was straight out highway.
That car was my convertible, but I don't have it anymore. It died.
Hey, Faye.
How you feeling, sweetness?
Yeah, well,
I know
when I moved from Minnesota out to New York to be with my fiance, the Geo Metro, the sticker on the edge of the door said its load capacity was 588 pounds. I'm sure I had it loaded down to close to 2 tons. So I knew it was a one-way trip. I knew there was no way that car was going to survive long beyond that.
I don't know. Do you want to come in, Faye? Maybe we can help make you smile, but if you don't want to come in, that's okay too.
No, Philip, I'm talking about not the blue and the gold one. Mom rode in the blue one. I know y'all don't have no. I'm talking to Philip in the chat.
Good one.
Yeah, you know, these days it's hard to say what's an American car and what's a foreign car anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they're all a mixed up jumble of both, aren't they?
Yeah,
My-
quite often you'll have the engine assembled in a different country than the body was.
My mom has a Civic. She loves it.
I love my Hyundai. Her name is Belinda
Ew.
Carlisle.
Ew. Okay, so my mom's boyfriend is a mechanic, and when she was looking for a new car, he said that you're not allowed to get a Hyundai, and if you do, you're not parking it in my driveway, and I'm not, and if it breaks, I'm not fixing it because it's just a disposable car or something along those lines.
Yeah.
He won't touch it. He wouldn't touch it, but she has a Honda Civic instead. Because I told her to buy one and she loves it.
I haven't had any trouble with it, and it's got like 100,000 mile, 10-year warranty on it. So I've got a long way to go. If something breaks, they're gonna have to fix it.
I think that his problem with it more is that if something breaks, it's extremely annoying and difficult to fix it.
Yeah, but that's why they pay the mechanics the big bucks. So I don't.
That's true.
There.
All right, I'll be back in a minute. I gotta go put my pizza in.
You know, it's really amazing with the talk going on in here, and I think the last time I owned a motor vehicle was 30 years ago. It was 89. So I don't even know if I would know what went into keeping a car going anymore. Because I guess it's
Okay. Now, you see, this is the talk I had planned to have on my channel last night when I was hosting it. But I do not think that anywhere in that chat we ever got around to mentioning cars.
I don't think anybody's stream went the way they thought it was going to. I was going to talk about music, and I don't think we went there for more than about 3 minutes, and it was on from there.
Well, that's, I just thought that it was appropriate since it was a fundraiser to get Doc a car for
Yeah.
everybody just to, come in and tell some stories about old cars they had.
Well, I kept thinking any minute you were going to jump in and say, okay, y'all, let's talk about cars.
When did you have that Datsun, Faye? That would be really, really great if you had it at, the age of 30 something.
My sister had a Datsun, and that thing ran for 20 years. The body of it, the doors fell off, the fenders, the thing fell off, and it would still go.
Well, that's the whole thing. There was a series out of Britain. It was called The Secret Life of Machines. And one of the things they covered was the automobile. And the guy who was doing this series mentioned that most of the cars that were junked actually ran. It was simply the fact that the bodies were falling apart. And they couldn't be on the road because they'd cave in on themselves.
Yeah.
You are the only person I have ever heard acknowledge that series existed.
I love that series.
I loved it too. I had
I
the
have
whole
copies.
thing. I had recorded the whole thing off a cable I had on VHS tapes.
Oh, so you did that as well. Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
like I try to tell other people about it, and it's like nobody else had ever seen it.
I loved him and Rex. Absolutely. Because he did The Secret Life of Machines, and then another Secret Life of Machines, and then The Secret Life of The Office, or The Secret Life of Office Machines, or something like that. And he has a quirky style about him, which is really, really endearing. He's
Well,
a little.
I just like that, he always explained at least the basic mechanisms in a way that anybody could understand.
Puff. Yeah, I could toss you a link. Trying to remember on Twitter. Are you Puffalophagus? I forgot.
Okay, guys, I just got a message from Doc. Doc
Yep.
says, hey, guys, I just heard from the car dealer. Kind of bad news. They want the $2,500 by Friday. I have an old friend, however, and is hoping that can help him with a loan.
Oh,
So we need to ramp this up.
okay.
Yeah, we need to get
pressure's
this
on now.
moving.
Yeah, we need
Come on,
to ramp
guys.
this
Yeah,
up.
we really got the deadline.
Yeah,
And the car itself is $2,500. We were aiming for $3,500 because he's going to need extra money to get all the legal stuff
all
done
the
on
stuff
it.
going.
PT and L.
Yeah.
Puffalophagus, could you please remind me? I forget what your Twitter handle is. I know that we're following each other, but I don't think it has anything to do with your name. And okay, there we go. Thank you. I will have you a fufu and half a moo. What am I talking about?
I'm going to go share this thing right quick. Hang on. Pop it out to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really weird. I eat dinner at like 5 o'clock.
There we go. Okay, hang on here. Okay, you should have a link there, Puff. Should have one in your DM.
I'm going to put one on
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah.
Share it for me. Share it.
Wait a minute, who else do
My
we have?
dream car is the Citroen Sahara, which the Citroen was like the French answer to the VW Beetle.
Okay.
And part of the design criteria was that at least 80% of the maintenance had to be able to be done by a farmer in the field with a kit of 5 tools that came with the car.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
Is that the one they sent over a cliff and drove away?
I'm not sure what you're referring to there.
There was an ad I remember, and maybe I'm misremembering the ad. There were a couple of guys who pushed an automobile over the side of a cliff, and it went down, and it bounced a couple of times. Then they put some of the body panels back on and drove it away.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably wasn't the Citroen because they never sold these things in the U.S. They were extremely popular over in Europe.
Well, there's the thing. I think it was a European ad, if I remember correctly. I'm remembering the ad because Tim Hunkin had that ad on his Secret Life of the Automobile.
Okay.
I don't remember that particular bit.
Okay, let me look here in the StreamYard. Yeah, Puff. If you look in your DM, you should see the link there. We've got 2 spaces open, so it's not like there's no room.
Okay.
I like the idea, Robert. Robert's dream car is one that will drive without issues.
Yeah, really.
Wait a minute. Let me look at the foo-foo-ness here.
One that I have.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Okay, there was a bit of an issue at one point, Angie. Do you remember how this works? I have 4 people in line who are all in the chat we've got going right now. Is it the case that a 5th person shows up below that line of 4, or
Yeah.
next to it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
there should
have
be a little
more
scroll
people
bar.
backstage. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the thing. I don't know if Puff is waiting backstage or not because I'm not sure I can see Puff.
Just to the right of the line of 4, there should be a little scroll bar.
Stroller. Yeah.
That if there's more than 4 people, scroll bar will show up, and you can scroll
Okay,
down
so
to see the
far no
people
one's
below
there
it.
then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll hang on because, yeah, Puff asked a few minutes ago if
Philip says we're all awesome, and he's not easily impressed. Thank you, Philip.
my dream car is a '67 Ford Mustang. I wouldn't mind a 64 and a half. Because if I remember, that was the first of the Mustangs.
I barbecued a 1978 Buick LeSabre convertible once. Not on purpose, but it was beautiful.
And
it
I discovered that although I liked looking at the big cars, I really didn't like driving them.
I was 18.
Yeah.
It was a car. It was a convertible with red interior. You think I'm not gonna drive that?
Okay.
It was Dad's car, but I got to drive it.
Okay.
Well, I was trying to find a picture of this, but unfortunately, I don't have my external
I'm back
drive
at it.
connected.
Okay. 11:30.
Yeah, I thought I was cool cruising around in that thing. It was a boat. All it needed was like longhorns on the front of it, and I would have been boss hog.
Oh, for the love of St. Kulik.
Okay.
Damn near killed me.
Yeah, my as far as driving, nothing very much over a ton is what I drove best.
11:15. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Hey, Pop, how you doing? Hi.
Okay, Diane, I don't know if you have to click on it for it to show up. I'm trying to put a picture up there.
I think there is something I have to click on, but I see. Let me do the thing here.
There we go.
Oh wow,
Okay.
Okay.
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing, the Sahara was their their four-wheel drive version. But they had such trouble trying to sync up the axles that the solution they finally came to was to give it two completely independent drivetrains. It has two engines and two transmissions, so you can literally blow an engine out and still drive home.
Holy shit.
Okay, that's kind of interesting.
That's the kind of car I need.
Unfortunately, there were only about 50 of them ever produced, and at last count, there were only 16 surviving.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And how many of those actually run?
Well, that's what I mean. There are like 16 that have been restored to running condition.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay.
But the other interesting thing is the Citroen, the basic model, was produced nonstop with very little changes from like 1948 up until like 1989. And like 85% of the parts are interchangeable no matter what year they are. So you can take
Interesting.
parts from one built in the 50s and put them on one built in the 80s.
Oh, that is maintenance heaven. God, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a few cosmetic changes to the body, but basically the engine's the same the whole time.
There's that guy that he got stranded in the Moroccan desert, and he had to disassemble because the wheel bearing locked up on his Citroen 2CV. He had to disassemble the car, and he basically made it into a motorcycle and then rode that back home. But he didn't have a passport to be in Morocco, so he had to avoid the border patrol and drive through the desert.
Yeah, actually, Mythbusters did a piece on that story where they tried the same thing. They tried rebuilding the car into a motorcycle, and they found that, yes, it could be done. It handled like shit, but it would get you somewhere.
I think I did see that one.
Yeah, and the thing though, I think what they admitted on there is that guy also had like a level of mechanical genius that was far exceeding theirs.
Yeah. Well, he'd have to come up with an escape plan like that.
But he was also like he was in a foreign country where if he got caught in that foreign country without the papers, he would have been in trouble and all kind of stuff like that. So he was like, dude, I got to get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, like in my CRX, like that's the thing is I had it built, right? Like I had an 88 CRX, but I had it built. So first through fourth gear, it was get downtown. And then I had fifth gear had been swapped out because I had actually bought the transmission from a SCA racer. So the guy was like, he sold me the transmission, a performance built clutch, and a custom machined like factory flywheel for $125.
I'm on a transmission.
What's that?
I'm on a transmission.
Oh, okay.
I
But
gotta stand up for a
it
minute.
was like that's what I found out with like
Okay.
but then I have like my Integra, right? So think about it like this. Just imagine how much your life would be just terrible. 70 miles an hour. 4,500 RPM. So
Okay, there we go. We're back to normal here.
it was it basically if you everywhere but the highway in Integra, it's great life. But you get into my GSR, get on the highway, and it's like, oh, you had gas. So it just takes everything from you. It's terrible. But that one, and I think have you guys seen the new craze in Japan?
What, baby?
In Japan, they now have gone into a craze of racing Dodge vans. The 80s round back Dodge vans.
I promise I'll be done in a little bit, okay?
Okay, that sounds like an odd thing for them to have picked.
Yeah, it's weird. They call it Dojiban racing. So they're like they like it because you can go and you can take like 4 of your friends or more, like at least 4 people seats wise, and you can go smashing on this racetrack. And basically, those vans are so tough and compared to their speed capability that you can just basically play bumper cars all day, and you don't have to really worry about getting hurt too much.
Too much.
But it is on a racetrack with race officials, and people are like not trying to kill each other. So, I mean, if you put it in American hands, that would be a deadly sport in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've always
Americans are
kind of wanted to
crazy.
drive it. I've always kind of wanted to drive in a demo derby. I'm not interested in racing or speed, but that would be more my kind of sport, just to see how long you survive.
Yeah, I just love racing because literally all of the technologies that are in current modern day vehicles were brought about because somebody was racing and was like, hey, let me try this idea.
Yeah, my cousin used to race stock cars.
Like the two of the most important features in a car come from racing, specifically the seatbelt and the rear view mirror. Because prior to racing, people were like, do I need to strap myself into this death machine? No way. Do I need to see who's behind me? No way.
What, baby?
Yeah, well, I'm old enough to remember that my parents had a lot of cars from the early 60s, and half of them didn't even have seatbelts.
Oh, right.
And then one of the most feared drivers in F1. See, like, I don't like how much praise Danica Patrick got, like, during her career. Like, she got, like, this whole amount of praise. But, like, she was, in my comparison, is not on a level of, like, the top level, like high level female racers. Like, it's just not even there. Because, like, what strikes me to mind is that lady in the, I think it's the
Winning's
70s.
not good enough for you?
What?
Winning's not good enough?
Well, no. There was a lot of hokery that went around with that. In it, there was a lot of behind the scenes changing of rules and stuff like that. Whereas opposed to like say like in the 70s, I have to pull her name up, but there was a lady that she was just like she was pulled in as a emergency spare driver for an F1 team, right? And they were like, you don't have a racing license. Well, she ended up getting the racing license, but they were like, you never raced, you can't do this stuff or whatever. And she was like, well, here's my helicopter pilot training license. Here's my commercial air pilot training license. And here's my military fighter jet pilot training license. So I think if I could do those things, I can run an F1 car. And then they let her on the track and they were like, oh God, she's killing everyone. Like, she was so fast. It was ridiculous.
I'm a racing widow. I don't get anything out of my husband if there's a race on, period. He's sitting there watching it. That's it.
Oh, my ex was a NASCAR fan. Well, I may have mentioned. I'm trying to remember if
in one of the games I played, NASCARing is a pejorative.
I used to actually like it, and then I found out that he likes NASCAR more than he likes me, and I'm like, well, screw that.
Oh
It
wow!
means that you're just going. It means that you're just going around and only turning left.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's literally something that people do as a tactic, and then they all lose.
Yeah. What I was
You're
gonna say
making
is
another left turn.
But yeah, like even NASCAR, what's their claim? Like the thing that they brought, they discovered or like actually figured out drafting.
Yeah.
Because Junior Johnson, he was entered in the Indy 500, and his car was 200 horsepower down on anybody else in the field. And so, like, when he was doing his qualifying laps, he was super slow. Like, they were like, this guy barely qualifies for the race. Why is he even here, right? And then they let him race, and he was all up on everybody's tail to the point where he was following the leader the whole way around, just basically sucking off of his horsepower. And then to the point where he ended up sucking the back window out of the guy's car, and the guy ended up spinning around and losing control of the car. And they were like, wow. They were like, wow, you can actually make a brick go fast. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the principle of that has been around for a very long time.
Yeah, but they just didn't understand the mechanisms and how it worked and everything. You know what I mean? Because they just hadn't gone 180 miles an hour for 2 hours yet.
Well, I mean, like, sure, in a car.
Right. But who's trying to do drafting in like a DC-10? That'd probably be.
How about a
just
Southwest
military-
Camel?
Yeah, that's just like a military thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the people that had the access to planes versus the people that have had access to cars over
Well,
time.
it works. It works for boats too and ships and stuff like that.
But on boats and ships, it's like a whole nother level, though, isn't it? Because like I know, like my dad was telling me, like in the Navy, like when they would resupply ships, because of the vacuum or Venturi effect between the ships, there's like a serious chance of slamming the two ships into each other.
That's if you're side by side, though.
Yeah, yeah. When they're transferring materials
Mhm.
like goods and food and stuff while they're still out on the ocean.
Yep, I'm very much aware of resupply at sea. But like, if you have a line of ships, right? Like the wake of the first one will make it easier for any ships in the wake of the first ship, and then the next ship, and then the next ship, to be able to like they'll use less fuel basically, and
Okay.
and then it's the same. It's the same principle of as a transom stern, which is if you've ever seen boats or ships or whatever, where like instead of going to a
They have a come center board.
can I share my screen for a second?
You talking about a come center board?
I'll show you. I'll show you. I'll get out of the.
Because like I know that.
Yeah, I think you
in,
can
like-
do a request to okay, and then I'll add this. Okay, there you
good.
go.
Okay, so let me just hit the reset button on this.
Because I know, like in the only kind of stuff I know about like waking and stuff like that is in like racing. So like in
Yeah.
powerboat racing, riverboat racing, it slows you down a lot if you get caught in the wake of somebody else.
Need something old and big and American. Here we go. USS Texas. I believe this has a. Okay, so you see how the stern of the good old Texas here comes to a point, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at a newer American ship like.
They're much narrower.
Well, it's not so much that they're narrower; it's just that they're longer.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like if you took the width to length proportions of like a modern day naval ship, a regular sized boat would not be like seaworthy in that
Yeah.
situation.
I mean, like,
'Cause it just doesn't
the
displace
next
enough
ship I'm going
water.
to show you is considerably wider. It's just also a lot longer, so it doesn't look. But so there's the Texas. She has a stern like that, and then you see. That's not the best example. I think Edinburgh has a transom stern. No, Edinburgh does not have a transom stern. No, I just need to find a ship with a transom stern. I know what I can find. Another battleship. Where are you? Duke of York. Okay.
He's in
So
that.
Duke of York doesn't have a transom stern. What ship has a freaking transom stern? French cruisers do. High tier French cruisers do. Okay.
Lord.
Charles Martel
He's in that.
does not. Wonderful. But if you see how all the sterns of these ships are all rounded, right? Maybe
Salud.
St. Louis.
Salud.
Okay. There are. Oh, maybe Desmarais. I'm just trying to find one. Here we go. Here's a good one. And then you see how the Desmarais here has like just a completely flat stern.
Yeah.
That completely flat stern allows you to get more engine efficiency, like more speed and efficiency out of the same amount of horsepower in the engine. As like if we go back to I don't know, like I should have the. Do I not have the and then we can go back to the Wyoming and you can see that it's like a pointed stern like that. So that's just what like they've known about this sort of stuff and
But like the Wyoming it was more about the amount of capacity it could carry though, right? Like because
no, the Wyoming was
because those are 16-inch guns, right?
No, those are
No,
12.
no. Okay, those are those smaller ones, the
This
12
is-
inches.
This battleship was this is one of the first super dreadnoughts. So this was launched in. This ship is one of two. The Arkansas actually served in. This ship entered service in 1912. So, yeah, it was still, not very long after HMS Dreadnought entered. Well, maybe about 10 years after HMS Dreadnought entered service.
Did you say that was the Arkansas?
Yeah, no, that's South Carolina. No, it says it's the Wyoming, but the
Okay.
Arkansas was a Wyoming class battleship.
Now, did
Okay.
they try to do with those like they did with the Midway and stuff like that, where they tried to go to electronic systems for the guns, and it ended up being that the guns, because like I know on the Midway when they tried to do it, it broke the guns firing broke the computers, like they damaged the aiming systems. And so they had to go back to the manual stuff. But when they went back to the manual stuff, they found out, all the people that know how to run the guns manually, they're not in the service active duty anymore. So they had to recall a bunch of retirees to train the young guys how to do it manually.
Yeah, well, the Midway would be an aircraft carrier, and they'd be.
Oh, not the Midway. The Midway is the aircraft carrier, but he was on the Missouri and stuff like that too. So like the Missouri, they got in trouble. Like that's the famous one. That's the one that they ended up beaching, right?
Yeah. Well, you were saying the Arkansas from like 1912, was it? The Arkansas and the Mississippi from World War I actually saw quite a long term of service.
Yep. Well,
Between the wars, they wound up being sold to the Greeks. So in World War II, they were still in service as the Lemos and Kilkis, and they saw action in the Mediterranean.
I think maybe the Mississippi, but not the Arkansas. The Arkansas actually saw service with the United States Navy in World War II. She actually went to Normandy with USS Texas.
Okay. Maybe I've got the name wrong on that one, but
yeah.
Aren't U.S. battleships like some of the longest serving ships? Period.
Oh my. Okay, and while we're at
Four metal ships. I mean, HMS Victory served for over a century before they like permanently. She's not even decommissioned, but she served actively for almost a century.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna be like, let's take this wooden
I
ship
don't
and
know
let's
what
roll
they
into
do.
the Gulf of Le Mans. Let's do this.
Can I ask Google?
yeah, let's not forget the link to Doc's GoFundMe, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got the cash and inclination, if you feel you can, please throw a few dollars his way. If you cannot, if you can't afford it, that's fine. We'd really like it if you could spread the word a little bit.
Just think
and,
about it like this: your $3, $4, maybe $5 can keep that beautiful voice on the air for far longer.
There you go. I love you too.
Right here. By the way.
Diana, my darling, I have got to go for a while. I got to get off my hiney and be a productive member of my household for a little while.
Productive? What is that? What does that mean?
Oh, they have been so good. I'm so proud of my girls. They have not bothered me. Like I've got to go give them some lovings. I just got to go be granny for a while.
Alrighty then. That's a very worthy cause. That's a very worthy endeavor.
All right, y'all keep it up, and I'll check back in with you after a while.
Boy, that sounds good. You be good. You have fun and good stuff like that.
Thanks,
And
y'all.
we
I'm out.
will sail along.
Yep.
Bye, everybody in the chat.
Hey, talk to you later.
Take care, sweetness.
bye.
I'm gonna stop screen sharing in just a second. I just wanted to show that I traditional versus a transom stern, but I just want to say, HMCS Haida. So yeah, I bought this hat at this ship. She's in Hamilton. I just wanted to show that because I'm Canadian dairy.
You are from Canada, yes.
Okay, I had wondered about the hat because I could never read the name on it.
It's just keeping the hair out of my eyes, basically.
Okay, then. So, wait a minute. Is that DDE 215?
Yeah, she was originally launched as G63, and then when they reclassified all the ships after World War II, sometime she got reclassified to DDE 215.
Okay.
Yeah, did you know that Norway's got a system where they put barcodes on the side of all the ships so that when they come back into port, they can Scandinavian?
Okay, that's
Wah, 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 wah. Oh, that was good. That was perfect.
That was so, yeah, that was great.
And it's amazing where with the technology, etc., that you've got going today, it's something you could almost think would be something that could be in use. And then that punchline
Yeah.
Yeah,
hits you the second time around. It's like, oh, that's what we were talking about. Oh man. Yeah, speaking of Midway, that's that anchor in San Diego. It's a museum now, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, like I think all the battleships and museums now they might have one still active duty, but I think what they do
No.
is they just stick them in as museums and then they'll pull them out when they need them.
So I'm
They
trying
did
to
it for
remember.
Operation.
What's really sad is that they like have preserved a bunch of they've preserved a bunch of like Essex and let's see, status museum ship, USS Midway Museum in San Diego, California. Um, so what the horrible thing is that they have like 4 or 5 or 6 Essex class ships, that are that are museum ships, right? They have the Midway, which is Midway class, which is basically a better Essex. Um, they refuse to save the Enterprise CV 5, I think, or is it 6? They refused to save the Essex or the Enterprise as a museum ship, even though she was like the most badass ship of the war after HMS Warspite.
Yeah. Cause like didn't they? Cause like they pulled out the Missouri for like the for basically the shock and awe campaign and all that shit, man. Basically, when we went over to Iraq the second time, they busted out the Missouri, but I don't see why because like, I mean, it's a different. It's just weird. It's just weird to have that out there. You know
Well,
what I
the
mean?
Missouri was preserved because that was the ship that the Japanese surrender was signed on.
Right.
Yeah, she's in Pearl Harbor right now.
Because I know, like, and then like that isn't the Missouri. The Missouri is the one that we pulled up on the coast the first time with the first Gulf War.
I think they had 3 or 4 of them in operation at that point, actually. But yeah, because there's 4 Iowa class battleships. The thing with having a battleship there is that there's a lot of things that 9 16-inch guns can do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
A
'Cause they got
cruise
like
missile can't.
yeah, they got a
right?
24-mile range, don't they, or 26-mile range, I think. And basically, that's my the 16-inch gun is my go-to for how you know that the Earth is round.
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah.
no point in making a ship that big that makes that big of a display when it fires its guns if you can't hide it behind the curvature of the Earth. Because there's no way that thing's pulling up on the coast and you're going to be like, oh, I don't see that.
Well, no. It wasn't built for shore bombardment, even though that's all the Iowas really ever did. The only thing they ever accomplished was being giant anti-aircraft batteries, and they were shore bombardment devices.
Yeah,
I was saying,
actually,
'cause it
in
worked
World
great
War
against the
II,
Iraqi
especially in the
army.
Pacific, there wasn't as much ship-to-ship action. It was mostly the aircraft. The battleships got used more for shore bombardment than they did for firing at other ships.
Shoot, a lot. If you think about their
Yep.
range,
There
a
was
lot
only-
of those small islands, they probably could have decimated the entire island from.
They
where
did.
they parked.
Yeah,
Um,
and there was an instance with the New Jersey, which is one of the Iowa class, that since it was a new ship, they weren't quite familiar with it yet. And on one island landing, they actually overshot the island completely and hit British landing craft coming in from the other side.
Oh my goodness! Because yeah, that's what I was saying. Wasn't the Missouri the one that they beached in South Carolina?
I don't know.
Because basically, I guess what had happened was they were going a couple miles an hour, and it was either misinterpretation of the gauges or the whatever, or it was bad data.
It's bad seamanship.
And
Don't
they
listen
thought
to
they
that.
had
It's just bad seamanship.
right. But
They
what
were
they said
using
is
the
it
same
was
stuff they use in all the other battleships.
right. But what they said is it was somebody wasn't reading. They said either it was on the far side of extreme, the sensor was off or something, but they think that what it was is just the people weren't watching their shit, they weren't doing their job, and they just assumed that they knew where they were, and then they ended up fucking just running the ship all fully loaded too, at that, all the way onto the land almost. And so what they had to do is the Navy, like you said, they just gave up. They were like, well, it's done, right? And then they called in somebody that was like, hey, I can save this situation. They unloaded the whole ship, and then they basically dug it out, and then they
Yeah, I
backed
mean,
it out.
this is getting beach ships off of the, getting grounded ships off of ground is, something that people have been doing since before then. So it's, I don't know if the Missouri is the one that they did, but it's really just a big fast South Dakota, which is an improved North Carolina. So.
Oh my! Don't mind me. I'm just.
I don't have any of the Iowas in this game yet. I'm still working on unlocking the Iowa. It's right after the North Carolina.
Oh my!
Yeah, there was a lot more ship-to-ship combat that went on in the Atlantic rather than the Pacific.
Yeah, okay, that was it.
yes
They
and
grounded
no.
the Missouri in 1950. They
Yeah,
ran
well,
aground
that was
outside
more-
of Chesapeake Bay.
That was
Yeah.
more with the British and the Germans. The Americans weren't so involved in that.
There was actually a fair amount of ship-to-ship combat in the hot spots in the Pacific Theater. It's just that there was also a lot more naval activity in general in the Pacific Theater because Japan actually had ships and Germany didn't. But
wasn't there a lot of exciting battles with U-boats in the Atlantic?
no, U-boat battles are boring.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So basically the the Japanese had better submarines than the Germans. They just didn't know how to. They just didn't have the same. They just didn't have a real use for their submarines. But actually, so the first battleship duel that the Americans entered into in World War II was in Guadalcanal, and it was the Washington and the South Dakota had run into a Japanese task force that was bombarding Guadalcanal, that was going to bombard Henderson Airfield. And actually, the South Dakota, I think it was the South Dakota, lost power because of poor engineering skills, and she was a new ship.
my goodness.
So I forget if it was the Kirishima or the Hiei, which is a World War I era fast battleship, 8 14-inch guns. So and there was a lot of anyways. They ended up sinking the Kirishima and the Hiei later. The problem with that the problem is that it was all night fighting at Guadalcanal, right? So there was a lot of engagements. There was a lot of cruiser and destroyer engagements. But the two big battleship duels were Guadalcanal, where it was basically one brand new American battleship and one brand new useless American battleship because the power went out, so they couldn't do anything.
Okay. Robert X is saying it was the South Dakota and the Washington.
South Dakota and the Washington, yeah. Did I say South Carolina? I probably said South Carolina.
Yeah.
The South Carolina was built in like 1908 or something like that. So yeah, like the Washington mopped the floors with the Japanese battleship. Now there's a couple of things here. The Japanese weren't expecting to run into another battleship, so they had basically high explosive shells and beehive shells ready to go. And they actually didn't have a whole lot of armor-piercing shells even on the ship because they didn't think they would need them. And it was a night fight, so when they actually encountered each other, it was at too close a range to where they could use their superior speed to disengage. So they were basically stuck, with a World War I 14-inch battle cruiser that was upgraded to a battleship. To a fast battleship against like a 9-16-inch gun-armed modern ship with armor that's intended to protect them against 16-inch guns. So they didn't really fare very well there. The second battleship duel was the Battle of the Suragawa Strait. And it was just a bunch of the older American World War I battleships and some cruisers that were basically protecting shore landings and stuff. They were basically a rear guard. And a couple of Japanese ships come down the Suragawa Strait. And the commander of the fleet, the Admiral Oldendorf, actually credits himself with the last person ever to cross the T in a naval conflict. So they just I think it was like the Nagato and one of the Fuso or Issei classes, and they just absolutely wrecked them because it was like 5 or 6 battleships on one.
Can you explain what that means, crossing the T?
Okay, so let me just go back to my thing. So I'm actually going to share my screen again too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let me get on it here.
That is great. I will just use I'll use the Wyoming because she's a gun turret farm. I would love to get HMS Agincourt in this game. Okay, so basically it's an Age of Sail thing, but it still holds true in the Dreadnought era. So if you have your ship like this, right? It's got 2 guns firing forward, as opposed to its whole broadside of 12 guns. So the idea is that you come across the bow of the ship like this, with all of your ships like turned broadside to it. So all your ships can fire all their guns at the target, and they can only return fire with 2 guns. So it's basically limited. Back into the Age of Sail, when this was really a thing, there was no internal bulkheads, right? The ships were just all one big hollow thing all the way through, with maybe some beams under the decks to keep them from collapsing or whatever. So if you hit them from the front like that, your shells would go through, kill everyone in the ship, and just cause way more damage than if you hit the ship broadside and it went right through. So that's where it came from.
In the Age of Sailing ships, they didn't have turrets.
Yeah,
so
they would
basically the ships didn't have any forward-facing guns. They only had guns along the side.
Yeah, well, they had chaser guns, but they would have had like a couple of guns, not
not 100. Their ability to return fire would be pretty minimal.
No, just for the heck of it, could you explain the difference between crossing the T and raking?
Hitting them from the front like that is raking.
Yeah, because I thought there was a bit of a difference.
So raking the bow would be if you like hit them right front on.
Okay.
And I guess you would, if you were, providing some surprise butt sex, raking the stern would be doing the same thing from behind. You don't necessarily need to be
Because I had
you don't necessarily to be going, but that's more of a where you're hitting the enemy ship as opposed to what tactics you're using, and crossing the T is like crossing the T is not something you would consider on like a single ship on ship thing. It's more of a fleet tactic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever that meant. I have no idea what that meant, by the way.
Okay. So yeah, that's the difference there. Is that
okay?
Crossing the T is a maneuver, and raking is just where you're hitting the enemy ship.
Yeah. So I had thought that they were the same, but the fond of all knowledge was saying that they weren't. So I am no naval expert, so
I know a few things.
Because like the only reason I asked about the U-boat battles in the Atlantic is because like they were so effective before the U.S. got fully into the war. They were so effective at
yes and
harming
no.
shipping, not harming other military vessels, but in hampering the shipping of goods to the fight from the Americas. Because they definitely weren't the greatest in terms of military use, because they had actually got one off the coast, pretty close to the east coast of the U.S. Right off the coast, and it didn't.
German U-boats did actually sink a was it HMS Furious or HMS Courageous, which was an aircraft carrier. They did occasionally attack capital ships. It's just that they were too slow to really do much against them. Although the British did have fleet submarines, like the T-class with 10 forward-firing torpedo tubes, where they would just sail up, fire all 10, and then they had 4 rear-facing torpedo tubes, so they'd turn around, fire the 4 out the ass, and run away. So there were fleet submarines, but the Germans didn't really use them. The thing is that the British convoys really hated American escorts, because what would happen is the American destroyers would go and chase down and try to sink the U-boat, leaving the convoy open for further attack, whereas the Commonwealth / Empire tactic would be to just chase them away and make them go away. It was more the fact that the thing is that the British were expecting French help for anti-submarine work, right? They had more than enough destroyers combined together, and then the French, unfortunately, kind of crumbled really quickly. So they didn't have, those French destroyers to help out with the anti-submarine warfare. But really, when you look at it, it was really Canada that kind of, saved the day. We come out of World War II with the 3rd largest navy in the world by number, and most of it was anti-submarine ships. So
yeah, because I don't didn't Canada I've watched something, I can't remember most of the details, but it was about some maritime naval thing, some maritime naval. It was like a maritime navy in in the Chesapeake Bay, up high there, in that area, in World War II, before U.S. got into World War II, and it was I think they called it the Maritime Navy or something, but it was basically civilians and stuff, and they saved a lot of lives.
Really?
Yeah, I vaguely know about that, but really what happened is we started building corvettes and lots of flower class corvettes. So we just kept pumping out anti-submarine ships to the point of where we just had so many of them that we could escort all of the convoys. There is also the fact that I'm pretty sure it was a Canadian who invented the Hedgehog mortar, which was a far more effective anti-submarine weapon than the. I think there's actually one on the Haida here. Come on.
Really quickly, if I may, I want to thank. We have had another donation within the last minute or so. I thank you, Angie Rowland. We are up to $900 on the GoFundMe.
Yay!
And I'm not sure what we have on the PayPal because only Doc can get to that. So, but at the very least, it looks like we're over $1,100 out of the $3,500 total that we've got, that we're headed for. And,
Awesome.
we are getting there. I'd like to be able to talk to Doc when he wakes up, because he was mentioning that there may or may not be a little bit of a difficulty with the car that was on hold. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get everything for him.
If that one falls through, the dollars ought to be good for another car. So let's not give up hope.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, back to the waves.
Yeah. There's no submarines in this game, so they really don't have any submarine stuff. This is another travel class destroyer, but it's the one with the proper aft turret. Basically it was, the fact that the Germans just could not continue losing subs. Like, they started out pretty successful, but they were building subs not nearly as fast as they were losing them. So it eventually just came to the point of where their submarine warfare was untenable. And that's due to basically three different things. The first one is, yes, the U.S. entered the war and brought with them a bunch of destroyers to go around and attack submarines. The second one is the Canadian Navy just doing nothing but ASAW and, mass 3D printing corvettes out of, our various small little shipyards that can't make anything bigger than a fishing trawler, which is basically what a corvette is. Well, it's a whaler, but whatever. And then the third is the both from both the Americans and the British is the fact that we figured out that we could use aircraft against submarines to spot their periscopes and everything and attack them from the air. So the American mass printing of escort carriers really helped that. The British had their own programs that would allow them to basically have a couple of aircraft sitting on top of a merchant ship that they could launch off and land, as well as their own escort carriers. And they had long-range patrol aircraft like the Short Sunderland or the Mariner or the Catalina and other long-range maritime patrol aircraft that could spot them and depth charge them or whatever without them even. So there was a whole. There was also actually improvements to things like sonar and stuff as well. So there was a lot that actually went into it. The mass influx of American destroyers helped, but it wasn't really specifically the only thing. And of course, new weapons were designed to use against them, like the Hedgehog, like the Squid Mortar, and all of that.
Well, and the other part of that is, besides the actual battles against the submarines, like you say, the Germans were not able to replace them as fast as they were losing them because the Allied Air Command was crippling the Germans' production facilities.
That too. And the Germans were busy bombing London. And the British were like, it's just a few bombs. We don't care. Keep the factories running. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's,
Yeah, Robert X is saying, the B-24 Liberator.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Like-
that took out a lot of German factories and also was screwing up their oil refinement, so they couldn't get the fuel.
The
Well, I was going to
B-17
say,
was still
the
better, but that's-
24s, the Liberators did a lot of work in Southern Europe.
I was gonna say
The,
because it's been determined pretty soundly that during World War II there were so many bombs dropped and so much infrastructure blown up and destroyed that enough particulate matter was put into the atmosphere to cool down the planet for a considerable amount of time after that. So I guess that's the GOP's end game. That's their long game. They're like, we can just keep pushing it hard, and then at the end we'll just start a world war, and we'll get another 25 years out of it until we die, and then screw our kids, and good luck,
Well,
folks.
there'll never be another war. There'll never be another war. There will never be another war type of warfare like that again.
Well, yeah, we're never. I don't think we'll ever see a return to carpet bombing. Like that's like the most inefficient way. I mean, it's really efficient way to drum up your enemy to your enemy's support to try to fight you, but it's not a great way to use your military resources.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the Americans did a lot of carpet bombing during the day.
Are we good with the? Are we
I thought
good
they
with
did
the
like
split
I
screen?
thought England was the ones that were victim to a lot of night raids, though.
The Germans attacked the British. Tried to attack Britain during the day, and that didn't go very well. So they switched to night. The British actually did a lot of night raids on the Germans right back. They had the three main aircraft for that are all, well, one of them's kind of forgotten because it was replaced by the next one, but we have the Hindley Page Halifax, which was an excellent bomber, and yes, Canada built a lot of them. We also had the Avro Lancaster.
That's one name I know.
Yep. The Lancaster was basically an improved Halifax. And then we had another name that you'll probably know. We had the Mosquito.
Oh, that thing! I love flying that in games like that. It's like really easy plane to fly.
Yep.
And it's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or it was fastest for the time.
It was faster than a lot of the British fighters sent to intercept it, or just marginally faster after it dropped its bomb load, that they would have a hard time even catching it. So the thing is that the Germans started the Schnell bombing thing. So what the British were doing were like precision nighttime bombing with just a few aircraft, while the Americans were just destroying everything in sight. And then, have you ever seen anything on the Dam Busters?
Yes, that was a little feat of engineering. I like that, how they figured out how to spin the barrel up to speed. They figured out exactly how many RPMs they needed to spin it up to, so that when it would hit the dam, and then it would basically roll itself down the face of the dam to the bottom, and it would take the dam out from the bottom. And since that's the thickest, strongest part, once that goes, everything's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. Exactly. They were also used to sink the Tirpitz, which is the second Bismarck-class battleship. Basically, the Germans stuck her up in the fjords of Norway, and basically they're like, "Hey, look at us! We have this big, powerful, commerce-rating battleship that actually couldn't fight other battleships." By the way, Bismarck got real lucky against the Hood, and the Prince of Wales was not in fighting shape. But once they got fully operational battleships, and the Bismarck didn't get a lucky shot, she was actually heavily outmatched. She would have had to run from that fight to begin with.
Because
Because
the
the Bismarck was
incompressibility
a
of
horrible
water, if you can get the charge below the water line, it dramatically increases the effectiveness, right? Like
Yep,
if you can get
exactly. Are you aware of the Grand Slam bomb?
no,
Okay, so it is a bomb that the British built for A, busting bunkers, and B, apparently they also built it solely for the purpose. The story goes that they built it for the purpose of destroying Tirpitz. So they actually hit Tirpitz with one of these things, and the damage was so bad. She didn't sink, but the damage was so bad they actually had to sail her back to Germany, and she got caught by another bombing raid by Lancasters. So that's another cool thing that Lancasters did, is they hit a ship moving at like 20 knots with a 22,500 pound bomb.
that's a very good game of bingo, right, or plinko right there. You
Yeah, definitely.
hit all the angles. I want that dude on my pool team. He's a shooter. But yeah, that was what's crazy to me is because but the British sometimes they got extremely lucky, like how they got lucky with the magnetic underwater bombs, right? The magnetic mines, right? They had one that had it instead of detonating, it had accidentally washed up on shore basically, and they reverse engineered it because they had some British
Hi,
guys who were
Orla.
crazy enough to go ahead and go up to it and try to figure out how to disassemble it. And
Yeah, magnetic detonators are horrible ideas. And for things like that, okay, maybe not for mines, but the interesting thing is that the American torpedo that they put on submarines and destroyers and stuff for most of the war was a horrible torpedo. They one thing is that they had a tendency to just sail it to move in circles. A ship actually sunk itself with one of its own torpedoes.
no,
And sank because the torpedo went out just turned and came back and hit. I think it was a submarine actually.
beautiful.
And the more surprising thing is that the torpedo actually detonated because the Mark 14 torpedo had a horrible magnetic detonator on it. So they would hit multiple hits on on Japanese shipping and whatever, and the torpedoes just would not detonate.
I was gonna say because the German ones, the German sea mines, they were tearing up the British, and then they got a chance to figure out because they could never get they couldn't get a hold of one of the bombs before it detonated, so they couldn't reverse engineer how to get around it. And then when they got their hands on one, they figured out, oh, if we just degauss the ships, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And minesweeping and all that.
yeah, they did minesweeping, but they figured out how to do the minesweeping. But they figured out if we can degauss the ships, we're a lot safer, you know. And it was that simple, but it was that hard to figure out without having an intact bomb on their hands.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and they were lucky to get an intact Enigma machine.
Wasn't that because of basically the submarine broke down at sea, and it was forced to surface?
Yeah, but the crew didn't. A didn't scuttle the ship, and B didn't destroy the Enigma machine or the books or the reels.
But you got to wonder why.
No.
I think that they said something about the crew thought that the people that flew over them and spotted the submarine, they thought it was a German plane, and so they were like, "Oh, okay, we're good to go. You know, we're safe. They're gonna come pick us up." And then so when this Navy ship comes rolling up, they're like, "Oh, too late," basically, you know.
Well, I mean, you can. It's not very hard to sink a submarine from the inside, right?
Right,
not
but
that
maybe
hard
those
at
guys
all.
just didn't want to die. You know what I mean?
No,
when it
without dying, it's not that hard. You just set the sub to go down, and then you just set the sub to go down, and then you jump out the conning tower before it finishes diving, and then it just keeps diving, right? So it's not that hard to scuttle a submarine. They also have their own
So they
explosive
did it on
self-destruct
purpose?
charges. I think it was more a case of I think it was more of a case that they thought that the ship was going to be sunk, but it didn't get sunk.
Oh. No, I'm sorry. If the British can figure out how to put a T machine in their tank, I can go ahead and hit the button to sink the boat. If that's like my job, you know what I mean? Because like I know like American tanks have a thing to like fry all the electronics inside if they are in a situation where they can't like get the tank out.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, well, you can take our stuff, but you can't get the information. Can't get the technology. You can get the physical hardware, but you can't get the technology.
Ironically, the things that the Americans don't want you to get your hands on in their tanks is the armor.
Oh, the blade of armor.
Yeah, that Chomham armor, or whatever you pronounce it, is pretty good. The Americans and the British use it, and I think the Germans use it too now.
And it's that armor that pre-detonates, right? Like it detonates right before the round impacts, so it basically.
No, that's no. The Chomham armor is a composite laminated armor with like steel and ceramics and all that kind of stuff. It's specifically designed to protect against heat rounds.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I heard it. Yeah, I remember that they had a problem where it was basically, no, that is how the M1 Abrams round is designed. It's designed to basically melt through the armor of the other tank.
Yeah, exactly, and Chomham armor, because heat is one of the most common anti-tank rounds. Like most of the Russian tanks use it. Like it's the most devastating anti-tank round that you can get.
Well, I guess because the metal has to melt at some temperature, right? Like
yeah, it's actually not the heat or anything. It's not the temperature. It doesn't melt through. It's actually pure kinetic force.
oh, like vibration welding or spin welding.
Yeah, something like that, I guess. But it's not that it's molten copper that's going through the. It's not that it's molten copper that's going through whatever you're shooting at. It's more that it's the kinetic force.
Tank?
No, it doesn't melt it. It's the kinetic force that like when the round
Yeah,
explodes,
when it transfers the kinetic force into the material, it turns into heat. Because it has to be
but
released
it's
somehow,
the,
right?
the damage is all done by the kinetic force of the liquid metal. It's not done by the heat of the liquid metal. It doesn't melt through. It just breaks through. Like
Oh, because like that's why that was confusing because like on the M1 Abrams, the way that they show it, it's like they have that depleted uranium tip and it sits in like a cup. It's like a spike that sits in a cup.
yeah, well, there's a few different types of ammunition that the Americans use, right? There's heat. There's Sabo, which is basically a solid slug that doesn't explode. It just penetrates. I think they still have some standard armor piercing, maybe. I don't know about that. Which is just a penetrating cap with an explosive inside.
That's what I'm thinking of as the Sabo round.
Yeah, Sabo. There's also Hesh rounds, which don't really work if you know how to defend against them. And everyone defends against them because they are really nasty. Hesh rounds just basically cause massive amounts of spalling inside inside whatever you're hitting, which is where it hits the outside. It doesn't really do all that much damage to the outside, but it causes internal chunks of the armor to break off on the inside, and that goes flying throughout the tank and kills everything in its path and wrecks ammunition and detonates stuff and whatever. But that's easily fixed. Like that's easily negated with a spall liner. So.
Oh, basically it absorbs the impact in between.
Yeah, it's basically just wire mesh with canvas. with heavy canvas, and that stops most of the spalling. So that's really easy to prevent.
Oh,
So
okay, I
people don't.
see.
But
It spreads
when
the
the
impact
British
out over
started
time.
using this, that's when the British started using that shit. It was like horrible because, it would if your armor is solid all the way through, it doesn't matter what kind of armor you have or really how thick it is, because it just sends a shock wave, right? It hits the armor, and there's no damage here, but the idea is that it sends a shock wave that continues through.
Yeah, that would
And
be bad for your internal organs.
yeah, well, when it gets to the end, right? When it gets to the end, whatever's on this side of the armor breaks, and oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Breaks and keeps going, right? So it causes debris to fly off the inside of your armor, and turns basically the armor of your vehicle into the weapon that does the real damage.
Ooh, I was just thinking about if you basically if you smack that closed compartment hard enough, you can just basically crush all their internal organs.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it has that kind of effect as well.
Yeah.
But if you have some sort of spall liner to stop that, then it's not going to be a huge problem. So they don't really use they don't really use any type of very few people. I don't think anyone uses Hesh rounds anymore, which is good because that shit's nasty. So I think there's just I think the only ammo used is Hesh is Heat and Sabo.
Yeah, because that's the one I'm familiar with. Is the Sabo rounds, because that's the one that, because like the way it pictures it, it basically like the way that their little GIF or whatever. It's like it basically is boring its way through the side of the tank or whatever. And they were like they specifically designed it for some Soviet tank with a specific thickness of armor.
Probably a T-72.
Yeah, they were like, this is the tank that if we can take this one out, basically everybody's at a at risk from this round.
Yeah. Well, the
Which is not
T-72
necessarily
wasn't
the
a very
case,
good tank.
but I mean, it's a lot of talk. I understand, but like because I far prefer in terms of like stuff like that. Most of the Russian stuff, it gets the job done in a much less
No.
technological fashion.
Okay, their aircraft kind of do a little bit, but they're not. But they're still not. There's a lot of overhype with Russian tech. Like the Americans were utterly terrified of the T7. Is it T-72 or T-74? I can never remember. They were utterly terrified of the tank from what they had heard of it, right? Then when they finally got a hold of one, they said, "Oh my God, this thing is a death trap. This is a horrible tank. I don't know why they would make this." The loading mechanism has a tendency of ripping driver and gunner's arms off, or driver and I guess other people, uh, the person beside the driver. It has a tendency to rip their arms off. If your slave light gets caught in it and everything, it's way too cramped. Like I could not drive one of these. I could not operate one of these tanks in any way because I'm too physically large to do so. So really, when you look at it on paper, it's this massive death machine that's going to roll. There's going to be thousands of them, and they're just going to roll over everything in front of them. In reality, they are only death traps to the people inside them. So, yeah, they're reliable, but especially Soviet tanks were not terribly good vehicles. Like I said, once the Americans got a hold of them, they were like, "Oh crap, this is not a good tank. We totally overestimated the abilities of this tank." So
Well, because
there was
that's what I thought. Because like with the I know with like the Su-35 versus the F-22, they were like, yeah, the F-22's got the stealth and everything, but in terms of maneuverability, the Su-35 smokes it.
no, it doesn't.
They that's not what the American pilots said when they flew it. They said this plane matches ours. It can do everything ours can do,
No, it
but
doesn't.
it does it for a far cheaper price, and it's far easier to maintain.
It is easier to maintain. The maybe you're thinking of an Su-37.
Yeah, sorry,
Um,
the SU-37 with
Yeah,
thrust
the
vector.
Russians never built any Su-37s, or they barely built any Su-37s.
So they only built them for what, the air shows and stuff?
I think it's an experimental design that went into limited production. Su-37. And you know, let's see here. Number built, one conversion from Su-27M. So there is one Su-37 in existence.
So which one's the one with the thrust vectoring? Because I've seen multiple of those fly together.
Modernization, Control F, THRUST. 14. Okay. As the aircraft was okay. The first variant designed during the 1980s as an improvement of the Su-27 was known as the Su-27M. The derivative, blah, 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 blah. The first prototype made its maiden flight in 1988 and was not mass-produced due to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Sukhoi redesigned the aircraft as Su-35 to attract export orders. 14 aircraft were used for test dimension. One example had thrust vectoring engines, and the resultant Su-37 was used as a technology demonstrator. A sole Su-35 UB, Uniform Bravo, two-seat trainer was also built in the late 1990s that resembled the Su-30, which I believe was a ground attack aircraft. Okay. In 2003, Sukhoi embarked on a second modernization of the Su-27 to serve as an interim aircraft for awaiting the development of the Su-57, which is basically a Russian version of an F-22. This is blah 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 blah. Okay, how many?
I know, like the Su-35, they make quite a few of those. But I thought that was the one with the.
Okay, Su-35, 111 built, 3 tested, 100 serial aircraft. So there's 100. There's 111, and F-22. Number built, and there's almost double the number of F-22s. And the F-22 is going to be pretty much superior in every other capacity. So, if you're in an F-22 in a dogfight, where maneuverability actually matters, then you've already then you're in trouble. Something has gone terribly wrong. But the Russians do have their own 10 flyable prototypes of the Su-57, which is going to be basically a
T-50.
Well, the Su-57 is going to be an F-20. Is the Russian version of an F-22, basically the Russian equivalent of an F-22. Production aircraft.
So much with the slippy body styles, they don't like that very much.
Yeah.
They
Well,
like
it's
their big chunky stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like the SC or the MiG-31 has potential. I like that aircraft, but really, there's a lot of yeah. I would not place a huge amount of well, even the Russians don't have a huge amount of faith in the Su-35, right? They, it's an interim aircraft until their Su-57 comes out. And there's also the I wonder if they built any more. 47. This is a scary aircraft. No, they only built one. Okay, never mind. I'm not even going to bring that up again. Yeah, like the Russian aircraft are built for Russian stuff. Russian aircraft are actually half decent, compared to their, especially compared to their tanks. But they're still like they're still gonna generally be beat by, and have generally been defeated by their American counterparts, I guess. Every time they've gone into combat with each other, and have not had success. Also, the Russian weapon systems are nowhere near as good as the American weapon systems. So, you give me an F-22 with a bunch of AMRAAMs and some Sidewinders. I don't even know what the Russians are using for missiles anymore because, well, actually, let's take a look. Operating history. Specification. Oh, wait. Hard points. So they have the R-27, R-40. Okay. I don't even know what any of these missiles are. I'm sure that they're, decent missiles, but they never shoot anything down. So yeah, like, I don't know. I would not put nearly as much. I would rather an FU. I'd rather an F-22 than an Su-35. Any day. The F-22 is going to be more expensive, but it's going to have a lot more survivability, just because you don't see it nearly as easily. Being hyper maneuverable is all well and good, but what good's that going to do with you when you don't even know you're being shot at in the first place? But yeah, where is it? But yeah, but you are right in that Russian planes are apparently really, so not all Russian planes, but a lot of Russian planes are apparently very nice, easy to fly, forgiving aircraft. So there is a lot of merit in that. But I
know that our technology, our American technology in our planes and stuff like that, our planes, our tanks, everything like that is superior to the Russians in a lot of ways. But
yeah, Russia doesn't really do Navy. Russia stopped trying to do Navy after the Japanese mopped them up, right? So, the Russians' way of dealing with an aircraft carrier is to just fire, huge amounts of supersonic anti-shipping missiles at it. That it can't possibly intercept all of them, and even if it did, by the time it gets there, your aircraft carrier is still going to be hit by the flaming wreckage, of a small jet fighter size missile.
Yeah, the chicken little strategy. You put enough shrapnel in the air, something's going to hit.
Yeah, like it's called the I can't remember the designation, but I'm actually gonna look that up. I think it's 22, but
Tria just joined us in the side chat.
Yay! Let's see if we can. I'll give you a little way in if you care to.
And okay. I asked Psystrike if he could do anything to help us, so he's sent out on Twitter to promote this stream.
Yes, he most certainly did.
So yeah, he's got about 6,000 followers on Twitter, so that should help.
Okay, so the Russians have the NATO reporting name is very accurate. It's the SSN-19 shipwreck missile.
Here I am.
It's 7,000 kilograms or 15,400 pounds. It's 10 meters long. Let me see. It can carry conventional or nuclear warheads.
Good old Russians.
Let's see.
I'm trying to
Operational
remember
range
here
is,
if
388 miles, and its speed is Mach 2.5 at high altitudes. So, the Americans have aircraft carriers. The Russians have like Kirov-class battle cruisers armed with, a great many number of these.
oh, son of a bitch, I didn't get that right.
So is it basically a trade off, or because I
Yeah.
don't because like I
I
guess
didn't do
the
that
the
right.
missiles
Where
is
is
like
my
a fire and
proof of
forget
this?
type of situation, right?
Yeah, well, it's basically what the Russians use for naval supremacy.
Okay, let's try that again.
And they can be launched from aircraft too, so they can be launched from aircraft, they can be launched from ships, they can be launched from subs.
There, that's much better.
And
I've seen
the
the thing
yeah.
that I guess the U.S. and the Russians are trying to develop like hypersonic railgun technology or whatever for their boats.
Yeah, the US have it. They just don't have anything with enough power to actually use it. You would need a nuclear powered ship for that.
Didn't they like I thought the U.S. was like they're coming out with a new type of ship that's like something like 70 megawatt hours or something like that. It's like a ridiculous. It's got like
Yep.
two naval. It's like it got like two nuclear reactors in it or something. It's like a ridiculous
Yep.
amount of power.
Yeah, the Americans are working on some real crazy ships like they always do. What else is there? There's the the Russians actually have been developing a supersonic torpedo.
Wow.
That's a torpedo that can go faster than the speed of sound underwater.
That what? Like
Yeah.
how is cavitation not become a problem in that situation?
It creates a superheated barrier around it, which vaporizes the water and turns it to steam.
Oh, so it's like extra slippy.
Yeah, it's basically it's basically less a torpedo in the conventional sense and more of an underwater missile.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because the torpedo, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of drag. But yeah, I guess if you have the steam jacket around it, then it's a lot more slippy.
Hmm. And apparently Jean Chrétien was trying to buy the things off the Russians. Leave it to Chrétien.
Well, even with the steam jacket, though, if it's supersonic, isn't that still going to create a sonic blast wave through the water?
Yep.
But isn't
That
the
alone
speed of
could do a
sound
lot
in
of
water
damage.
5 times faster in air?
Yep.
So you can go a lot faster underwater, right? Like before you.
No,
hit
you're
that
not.
sound
You're
line.
not. You're not underwater. You're in a vapor pocket.
Okay, so which one takes precedent? The speed of sound in air or the speed of sound in a liquid? Or in
It's
water?
going to be somewhere. It's going to be a lot. Like it's going to be a lot more dense than sea level. So the speed of sound is going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot lower. But
Wait.
we're talking about a torpedo that's going 400 or 500 knots as opposed to a torpedo that's going like 40 or 50 knots.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And it's absolute. And actually, there was what was that really tragic Russian submarine that sunk and people were trying to save it, and the Russians
The
were like,
U-57?
no, huh?
The U-157 or something like that?
No, that's a German ship.
Oh, the
I said a
Soviet one.
Russian. I
The-
said a
the-
Russian ship.
Yeah, the Kursk, right?
Yes, that's it. It was actually believed that the Kursk was testing supersonic torpedoes, and they're what caused her to sink.
Whoa. So that's
the
why the
reason they-
Russians weren't too hot to trot to let anybody else help them out at first.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
see.
makes sense.
Kursk submarine. Oh, they salvaged her. It was an Oscar. Okay, it's an Oscar class, so that's saying a lot. Let's see. Rescue response, official inquiry. Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. The government report confirmed that the Kursk had been sunk by a torpedo explosion caused when high test peroxide, a form of highly concentrated hydrogen peroxide, leaked from cracks in the torpedo's casing. It's normally stable unless it comes into contact with a catalyst, then it expands 5,000 times in volume, rapidly acting as an oxidizer, and generating large volumes of oxygen. Blah, 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 blah. Ruptured the kerosene fuel tank. Faulty weld identified. Escape pod shut down. Automated recordings disabled. No charges filed. Alternative policy blamed the explosion on a faulty weld in the practice torpedo. Poor training, maintenance, and blah blah blah.
Oh, okay, fine. Let me pick you up. Hey there, Tria.
Hey, Tria.
Hey. Oh, tired today.
Oh, look, it's Lena. Hi.
Hey, Lena.
Oh my, you just woke up.
Well, I'm glad somebody got some sleep.
Wait, has Diana gone to sleep yet?
Oh, I've had some sleep. Yes.
Okay.
I woke up
I was
at
about to
about 1:30.
Okay.
Okay, so the Shakvel torpedo had a speed in excess of 200 knots. So let's take a look at that. So this is the VA-111 Shakvel, and it's a super cavitating torpedo. They are capable of speeds in excess of 200 knots. They began designing these things they've been using them since 1977.
If you feel like it, Lena, there's a link in your DM. If you don't feel like it, that's fine too.
Yeah, we can go off the Navy stuff. It's just list of super cavitating torpedoes.
Oh, let me look.
Yeah,
The
I think the
Americans-
history's interesting, but I don't so much get into all the technical details.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to make sure that my history's right. So, yeah, there's theories that it could have been a prototype super cavitating torpedo that could reach supersonic speeds. That malfunctioned and sunk it, not just a practice torpedo.
Yeah, I guess the Chinese are trying to get in on the game in the supersonic, super cavitating torpedoes as well too. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be a fun front.
Well,
All right then, Elena.
hey, nice to see you again. You're in before, right?
Yeah, I was
Who's
doing whenever they woke
You're
you
the pretty
up.
one?
And
Yeah,
drug you
Lena was
onto
running
the
the
show
stream in the
before.
wee hours of the morning.
Yeah,
It was so fun.
when I came on, it was Jenny.
Yeah. She was drug on by Jenny. She like just woken up. Everybody was like, "Are you okay? Like, don't take this the wrong way, but like you look rough." I just woke up. Like literally, I was in bed in my pajamas.
Well, when Jenny asked me to come on, right, I was bare as naked in bed, and I was like, okay, give me a couple of minutes to get some coffee and to put clothes on.
Yes, she didn't tell us that you were asleep or that you were in bed. She said you were getting coffee and a cigarette. So I was just like, oh, okay. So
I don't-
everyone else in the room just thought that, like,
No.
right before you get on stream,
One, I don't
why not
smoke.
get
No biting.
some coffee?
One,
Sorry.
I don't smoke. 2, I was getting coffee and taking a piss.
Oh, that's it. That's it. No, yeah, she did say that. She did say
Yeah.
Speaking
that.
of,
But we didn't
thank
know.
you for reminding me. Today, 5 August, it is 1 year that I quit smoking.
Congratulations!
Yay!
I am
awesome.
amazed. This is the longest I've been without ever.
Well, I know it's a hugely difficult thing to kick, and I've known people who have stopped for a year or more and wound up picking it up again when they got stressed out.
Yeah, I've
Well,
done
that's
that
the whole
multiple
point,
times.
is just to
I quit
keep
for
it going.
2 years and picked it back up again.
Yeah, I have respiratory problems, so yeah, I tried that once, and it was absolutely horrid.
Ugh.
I took one drag, and I felt and my lungs felt like they were going to fall out of my mouth, for like 3 days. So I didn't take another, and I won't take another.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
I might smoke. I might vape, if I was handed a vape
Yeah,
full of
babe.
weed. But I won't. I won't smoke weed, because I don't want that. I've done lots of edibles, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think about it, and I figure I am not able to smoke grass anymore because I don't know. Maybe I would be coughing my lungs out, or I would be so tempted to go back to smoking. So okay, if that means I'm without grass, I'm without grass. I can afford the stuff anyway.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to step away for a little while here.
Okay.
Diana, do you know how long you'll be going here?
I don't know. Is there anybody else that wants to come on behind me?
I could pick it up for a while
I might
again,
go.
you know, in like a half an
Yeah.
hour to an hour.
Because
Yeah, I can take over at some point, and I promise I won't screw it up. Just as long as I'll have to restart my computer if I'm streaming again.
I've been going.
I can't
Let's
promise
see,
I won't
about.
screw it up, but I can promise it'll be better than last night.
Let me have a look at the YouTube events here.
Well, okay,
Um,
just post something in the in the Twitter group so I know who's running it when I get back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, I've been
I'll see
going
y'all a
2
bit
hours.
later.
I could go at least another hour. I got no
Sure.
problem with that.
okay. All right. I'll be back within the hour, I think, but
Yeah, 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm
Yeah.
good.
okay, see you all a bit later.
Okay.
Okay, Purple. See you soon.
All right. And of course, I'm doing the whole.
Because mostly I've been sitting here listening to the very interesting naval history stuff going on here.
I thought it was great. I was loving it, but you know.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd on that stuff. Like both my parents.
Hey,
my two
CC.
parents met in Sea Cadets, so.
CC, the total on the GoFundMe is now at $900.
Ooh.
Woohoo.
And
Yeah, I'll-
last
So
I
it's like
knew,
1100.
yeah, last I knew the PayPal was around 220 or so. So we're over 1100.
yeah.
Awesome.
We need to get some.
That is
more.
out of a total of 3,500. So that is not quite halfway there. We've still got some work to go. But at the same time, please don't feel shamed or anything. If you've got it, if you have the cash, if you have the inclination, fine. If you don't, we understand. We get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, just share the link. That
Yeah.
helps out a lot.
Yeah, I shared the link, but I don't think I see anyone I know because not everyone. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Everyone I know just ignores me anyways. It's sad.
Oh.
Well, you're very ignorable, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, how long can they ignore you? For?
I get you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the best No, I can't say it's the best part. So far, one of the best parts of my day was Jenny actually said, "Oh, you almost look like a dude."
Oh yeah, she was just like, I'm not trying to be offensive, but you're looking on the duder side of things. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's a great way to put that. I love it. You're
Yeah.
looking on the duder side of things. Home billing.
Yeah, exactly. Like and then I changed into, and then I changed into girl mode, and now I'm back doing boy mode again because why not? Why
I see that.
why would I
You
just
got this,
do
like,
one
I
when
don't
I
give
can
a
be
fuck gamer look
Yeah.
going on.
like why do just well I took the other headphones out because like earbuds have a tendency to bother my ears if I wear them too much.
Oh
So-
yeah, mine too.
So I switched headphones for a while. Yeah, but like, yeah, why can I, if I want to be on a stream this long, why not be confusing?
There you go.
It's the
I
best
like
way,
confusing
really.
the audience and mixing it up. It keeps it interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Got to keep them on their toes.
Yeah, and I keep saying I'm bigender, so like, I want to put my money where my mouth is. I keep saying I have boy modes. I have never have boy modes on days where I like go on streams or anything, or I very rarely do. So I'm just kind of I'm just kind of feeling it today.
There we
So
go.
I'm doing it.
CC, was Nadine having a stream?
Another one? My brain is so scrambled, I legit don't remember what plans are.
But the cool thing is, the coolest thing today, that Angie watches my podcast, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So.
Yeah. That is awesome.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to show myself for a second here, and Jenny. We have a podcast called Nuanced Nonsense that we want to cover just more than this, but we cover a lot of trans stuff. So go check out our
Pretty
podcast, Nuanced Nonsense, because we just talk nonsense and people like it.
And
Yeah,
what
pretty
I like
good.
about me,
Sounds reasonable. I
what I
like
like
it.
about you, man, is that we can ask questions and you answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions for me, my biggest problem is usually trying to not give too much information.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is like, there's no finger wagging. You're just like, let me give you my answer.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
Well, if you're directing questions towards me, there's no bad answers. Only ones I don't. Or sorry, there's no bad questions. Only questions I don't want to answer, or questions that I think are stupid.
Right. But I'm
Yep.
saying, like, you can tell if somebody's trying to honestly, like, learn. I've never seen you not answer somebody's question if they're trying to honestly answer a question to learn, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why, if someone is, honestly trying to figure people out, why would it be an asshole to them? I don't know.
I don't get it either, but you see it a lot. I know. I see it a lot.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like it either. But I love the show though. I always
why I
have
love
fun
it.
when
Thank you.
when I catch you guys live. It's always a good time.
Yeah, we kind of do a weird time, but Jenny and I are in opposing time zones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
pretty
is-
much on opposite sides of the globe, right?
Yeah, she's 12 hours ahead of me.
Yep.
So
Just a minute.
there is not a whole lot, it's either going to be me early in the morning, and no one's going to watch because it's really early in the morning, or her early in the morning, and we can at least get some people watching Sunday night.
Hell yeah.
And once we get going, we might actually start doing. Once we can get some ideas for like more less just talking, more structured shows, we might actually
Mhm.
start doing 2 streams a week. But that's a
Awesome.
bit off.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for, well, I'm
yeah,
excited for some kind of structure in my life so that there can be a structure to my live streams because I have ideas coming out my asshole. Like I've got 5 notebooks that are filled with nothing but
No,
stream and
wait a
video
minute. Don't your pants
ideas.
get a little full that way?
They get a little full, but I just go and empty them out and I'm done.
yeah,
Do you do
Okay,
like
It's like
Biggie
changing your
Smalls and
diaper, you
do you
know?
do like Biggie Smalls and sleep on your stomach so you don't ruin the sheets?
Oh, help me. No. I do
No,
not do
because he
that.
said the same thing. He's like, I got techniques stripping out my butt cheeks. Got to sleep on my stomach so I don't ruin the sheets.
Oh
uh,
my god.
yeah, but like people are welcome to ask if they want on. Like we usually, like okay, I've been a little absent-minded the last couple of weeks because I've been on an extremely heavy work schedule, um, and I've not been feeling well, and I usually do most
Yeah.
of the arranging and everything, and I think Jenny's been really busy too, so um, yeah, like our last show, I set it up, or I like did all of the asking people to come on to it and everything. And I only started doing that on what, like Thursday or maybe Friday.
Mhm.
So we, and it was, yeah, it was totally off the cuff. We just did people's coming out stories because that's easy. I didn't have to think. And mine was really
Yeah.
short. Go watch the last new. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch the last Nuance Nonsense podcast because you get my full coming out story, and it's absolutely
Yeah, I've
epic.
started watching it. I've started it. I haven't finished it.
Yeah. Well, I basically went first because it was short.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah, but epic.
but epic.
A summary.
But epic.
Fuck the speech. I'm trans. I'm going to transition. Also, I'm bi. Now, fuck off. I want to go to bed. I want to go to sleep. Also, I took Saturday off to go to Pride. That is the summary of that. That is the summary of my coming out story. For
Okay,
being
then. Yeah, succinct.
and the full version wasn't much longer. And then I had another one where I was talking where I told my mom like the surgery I wanted and all that, right? And she's like, none of this surprises me. And then she's like, but like cis people want surgeries too, and I want blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but I didn't expect that you would want to. I didn't expect that you would want to be given your daughter's plans for her junk. Right? I think that might have been a little TMI, but you asked.
There you go. Hey, that's what people get with me. Like, don't ask stuff you don't want to know, because I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I hold back. I even on stuff like this, I have been holding back. But I don't. I call it. I call it my non-girl dick preserving bottom surgery.
Yeah, everybody does.
So, but the technical term for it is penis preserving vaginoplasty. So that's what the doctor calls it. So it's kind of the same
I bet
idea.
when doctors say that, they must get such confusing looks from like the outside world that doesn't know anything about this.
Well, I believe
I'm
there
sorry,
are like
what?
there are, I believe, only 1 or 2 surgeons who will even publicly do this.
That makes
And I
sense.
think I chose
Well,
the
it's
best
kind
one.
of like, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like there used to only be one person in the U.S. and I don't know where else, but anyway, there used to only be one surgeon that would do gender confirmation, and then that person became famous, like world
Yeah.
famous.
I
But
believe
now we
I
have
I
way more
believe he
doctors that are willing to do it.
I believe he
And
might
who
have
have
done
been trained,
Jenny's,
so.
and he was actually in Thailand.
Yeah, I remember the Thailand.
Um,
I remember him.
yeah, there's only one
There
doctor in
was another
Canada.
one.
There's only one doctor in Canada, and that's Brassard, and he's in Montreal. But I think we are either going to, or we actually have very recently got someone else in Vancouver, which is on the opposite, pretty much the opposite side of the country of Montreal. And we're also getting someone in Toronto, but none of them will do what I want, so I still have to fly out to San Francisco. Now, flying to San Francisco is actually going to be inconsequential for me,
Yeah.
but it's still going to cost me, even with my friend getting me the discount on a hotel, it's still going to cost me probably between $1,500 and $3,000. So and that's
I mean,
just
that's nothing compared to what one of us here in the U.S. would have to look at.
yeah, add $40,000 to that.
Yeah. Just for starters, really. It's a real pain in the butt because I would have had procedure a hell of a long time ago were it not been for that thick paywall.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there not a state, like, can you not, like, run a fundraiser? Like, is there not a state that will do that? Run a fundraiser and move to, like, Colorado or something.
Well, the problem I have is that I receive government benefits in several ways. I am on Social Security disability. I live in government subsidized
in the United
housing.
States, if you're on any kind of government anything, they treat you like, how dare you want something else?
Yeah,
Fuck
and then
off.
if
Yeah.
were I to run a fundraiser or something, they would be looking at every dollar I took in on that and saying, okay, is she going over the limit? Is she going over the limit? Is she going over the limit?
Yeah,
And I would stand
excuse me
over
for
my
being
car saying that sort of thing.
Yeah.
excuse me for
Yeah.
being super crude, but
Yes,
it's
sir.
basically, hey, maggot, you need to stay where you belong. You're not allowed
really.
to get yourself fixed.
Yep, absolutely.
You're not allowed
Yeah.
to get yourself cured. You're not allowed to get yourself money to
100%.
help with that. You're basically supposed to stay whatever issues are wrong with you, you're supposed to stay
You're
that
fucking on
way.
your own.
I'm a little concerned right now because one of the things I try to do is put money aside for future expenditures. So, for example, I have a month's rent in the bank, and I actually pay my for August rent, for example. I paid it the last week of July. So you're paying ahead, so you're not running up against the due date and everything else, and that's fine. And then
Right.
beginning of August, you put that money away. I have the an equivalent amount to the security deposit I paid here. If I do have to move, that'll be money that would be toward a security deposit for the next place, because I wouldn't get this money back for quite a while, and the way the landlord is, I probably wouldn't get it back at all, no matter what. They'd find some reason to keep it all. I'm putting money aside to have shoes. Finally, this year, I bought a couple of pairs of shoes. It's the first time I've had, excuse me, more than one pair of shoes at once. And now what I'd like to be able to do is, as these shoes wear out, they last about a year. Each year, buy another pair of shoes and rotate them out that way. With all that stuff, I'm creeping up around a couple of $1,000s in the bank, and I'm getting a little worried that they're going to say, you've got too much in the bank, we're going to take all your stuff away from you.
Oh,
But
wonderful.
I need that stuff in the bank because there are those expenditures. I don't know what the numbers are. I may have to play around a little bit. I have
It
serious.
depends on from state to state. Like our state gives you a little bit more leeway than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah,
I believe you can have $2,000 in your bank account.
I no.
And considering how horrible our medical system is, $2,000 doesn't do jack shit.
right.
No.
Again,
I swear, if you're on disability, then your medical expenses should be covered. That's what I have to say.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works. I wish it did,
Yeah.
but this is one of many reasons why we need Bernie. Give me Bernie, bro. Okay? Give me Bernie.
Yeah, when you're talking about how states are from state to state, remember, Pennsylvania is the only state in the union that demands that you pay back general assistance that you might get from Pennsylvania welfare.
Wow.
Oh, well,
Okay.
in any state, you can be forced to pay back benefits at any time if those benefits are taken away. You know how people, for whatever reason, like they got a job or they make too much money at their job or, what have you. You know how so often people during their review process, because every 3 to 7 years, depending on your type of case, they do another review to make sure you're, quote, still disabled and all that jazz. And if at any point your circumstances, or they deem that your circumstances have changed to where you no longer need your Social Security, then not only do they take away your one form of income and your health insurance, they also charge you retroactively for all the time. So if they think that you've been making too much money for the past 7 months, they will retroactively charge you 7 months worth of your health care bills, the insurance that you had, and everything you would have paid if you had not had insurance, as well as you have to pay back your own benefits that you received.
You don't even have to.
Benefits were yours to begin with because you already paid taxes on them.
And you don't have to have lost them for them to retroactively tell you that they overpaid you, because they did that with my sister. Her entire, what would happen is they would count my dad's clothing allowance from the military against my sister.
Oh my God.
And that is the stupidest shit ever, because
fucking shitting.
I'm not kidding. That was when we had sat down with somebody and we were like trying to figure out why they kept saying that they were overpaying my sister. We found out, we were like, okay, so they say this much. The only thing that we could think of was my dad would get paid a clothing allowance. And actually he doesn't even get paid it. It goes straight to the uniform company. It does not go in your hand.
It doesn't even go into your bank account or your.
No, it doesn't. It goes straight to the uniform company.
Get that when she was still still serving.
Yeah.
And
because basically
shopping as soon as we got a call from the shop letting us know that their uniforms were ready.
Yep. Basically, the money would go and be like, this is how much you can get your uniform serviced for X amount. Because, of course, in the military, you're supposed to keep your uniforms up to a certain standard. Now, if you fucked up and messed up your uniform and had run out of your allowance money, then that was on you. But that money never went to my dad. It goes straight to the shop. And we found out that that was probably what they were counting against my sister. And then when my mom finally got tired of fighting SSI, because they said that she owed so much that they wouldn't pay out anymore. And my mom was like, fuck that. We have military insurance. And then when we went back to get her SSI again, they said, oh, well, she can get back paid for all that time, except we're taking it because she still owes from when she was a child.
Oh my God.
So they basically she was supposed to have gotten $10,000 in benefits, and the government was like, nope, you're not getting that. We're going to use it for your back pay. And then they took an additional $100 a month out every month for the first year.
That is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And are you in Pennsylvania too?
No, I'm in Florida.
Oh, I don't expect.
No,
Our whole country works this way, unfortunately.
Yeah, our whole country is like this.
Yeah.
It's just some states are better than others. Like in my state with my sister, things aren't so bad because we've got programs set up that are I don't know what you want to call it, but like they're based around what the person wants. Like in my case, I get paid to take care of my sister because it costs the taxpayers less.
Mm-hmm.
It means
because
that
if they were
I'm not
a professional, it would be thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Actually, I have a coworker who also gets the same thing, right? She works at our bingo hall, but she also gets paid to take care of her husband, who is permanently disabled from a broken back.
Yeah. Not every state has that ability, though. Here in the United States, in fact, Florida, California, and Texas are the only three I know of. I'm not saying that there's no other states that do. I'm just saying that as far as like paying family members to handle things, I don't know that every state does that, and I wouldn't be surprised to find out that less than half of them do.
I am surprised that 2 of those 3 states do.
The thing with Texas is that they don't have enough money going into it, so there's a long ass waiting list.
Oh, that makes sense.
I heard.
I'm surprised they do it all. Just hang on a sec.
Yeah. Last I heard, it's a 10-year waiting list.
Whoa.
Yeah, 10-year waiting list for Texas. In order to get on that program. And I'm like, by that point, everybody's already screwed. So
yeah.
Oh, right before I came in here, I was actually trying to get caught up on the news and politics and everything I've missed. Because if I stay immersed in it, my suicidal tendencies, get out of control. So I want to minimize that.
Yeah.
But I had heard something about it the other night, or last night, but did you guys hear about the mass shooting that happened in El Paso?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yes.
The
man that drove to the Walmart that was in El Paso. And, yeah, the Walmart shooting.
Let's see. So far, Trump has blamed immigrants, video
Black
games, mentally ill people, immigrants, immigrants. Did I mention he's really blaming the immigrants, which is really weird considering both shootings.
People of any color, regardless of whether or not they're immigrants, because if your skin has a slightly different hue to it, you must not be an American.
Yeah. So
my friend, one of my actual friends tweeted out, "Oh my God, all these stupid people calling Trump a racist, ha ha ha," and I'm like, what? Like, you gotta be kidding me, bitch. Like, seriously? How can, after all this time, after all the shit, how can you legit like without, like, how can you look me in the eyes and tell me that man is not racist? Come the fuck on. Like, you are either not paying attention or you have your head purposefully hidden in the goddamn sand. And then she like posted a link for his 2020 campaign, and I was just like,
Well, as
I'm
long as
worried
your
about you.
whatever your liberal party is, Democrat, I think, as long as they
Democrat.
don't like run the worst elections campaign in the history of elections campaigns, like the
Right.
last one did, then you should be
Exactly.
fine.
Well, see, that's what everyone's worried about, is we don't trust the DNC. You know, like I trust that, you know, enough people learned a lesson from the Hillary thing. Like, I trust enough people have learned a lesson from that, you know, we could actually have a difference and make a change. However, with that said, I do not trust the DNC. And in order to get
Yeah.
change, you must first get past the DNC. So that's really going to be an obstacle there.
Here's the thing. It wasn't just that Hillary Clinton was horrible. It was that anti-Trump people
no.
and Clinton supporters also did a lot of damage to people voting
yeah.
for Hillary Clinton. Caused a lot of people to vote for Trump. And looking, you know, just at like Twitter and stuff.
You had people that wanted to vote for Bernie who ended up voting for Trump because they hated Hillary so badly.
Now
Yeah,
okay. I know a lot of people are telling me I'm full of shit, but my idea with that one was, okay, you had Hillary, which a lot of people do. I didn't like Hillary.
Yeah, I didn't like Hillary.
Hillary
I
was
just
running
thought she was
against
better than Trump.
Trump, and I already knew back then what the hell was going to happen. And by the way, I was wrong about what was going to happen because I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it got, and I thought it was going to be bad. So the whole thing was, I've got to hold my nose. I've got to vote for Hillary. Otherwise, we are fucked. And then there are the other people who are telling me, oh, well, burn it down. We'll pull it apart because nobody good is stepping up. No good meaning, you know, the person I want is the only good one.
Right.
And it's like, well, great. If you're going to burn the place down, you've got to have somewhere else to live. And I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're burning down my house as well as yours, and they're not hearing it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I give people so much shit for crap like that. And now those are the same, not all of them, but many are people that do very much regret voting for Trump. You know, like, they're definitely in the camp of either they want Bernie or they want Warren or Tulsi. Like, you know what I mean? They want as far away from Trump as humanly possible. They recognize that he is a threat and a menace to the global population, and they want him removed.
Well, no,
you
totally missed what I was saying, right? What I'm saying is that a lot of people who are Hillary supporters and a lot more people who are anti-Trump pushed voters away from voting for Hillary Clinton and push people voting for Trump. I'm not talking about what happened in, the primaries or whatever you call it. I'm talking about the contact of private citizens and their actions being directed towards other private citizens. The second problem with the Hillary campaign is that a lot of people is that, you know, Trump started slinging mud and Trump started, you know, doing scandals and all this bullshit. And instead of ignoring that and sticking to her platform, which I don't even know if she had a platform.
She didn't have a platform, and that was the problem. Yes.
She started getting back into mudslinging. She let Trump dictate the election campaign.
Yeah.
She got into scandals. She got into mudslinging. She got into she didn't run a campaign. She just had a mudslinging fight with an expert mudslinger. When
Yeah,
she was
her
not.
campaign was basically vote for me because I'm not him.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Oh,
pretty
and then,
much.
of course, there was the added bit of it's my turn now.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
and the I'm a woman. Vote for me. There was that.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
She was
That
very arrogant. You could tell she
That
wasn't
did.
worried until much, much later on.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
here's what when they were choosing the Democratic candidate, right? Or sorry, when they were choosing the candidates on both sides, here's what I said: if it's Bernie versus anyone, Bernie will win. If
Mhm.
it's Hillary versus anyone other than Trump, Hillary will win. If it's Hillary versus Trump, Trump will win. That's what I said, like before
Yep.
the candidates were even chosen.
That's what I said too.
So it's just that Hillary is so terrible that if there's two terrible people,
Exactly.
and Hillary Clinton, people have tried to like put on this, oh, Hillary is such a good person thing and all that. Hillary Clinton is a terrible person. Hillary Clinton
Yeah.
should never have been, I guess terrible people for the American president is just, I think that Obama
It's a
is
thing.
like the one not terrible person who managed to become president. I don't know
Well, he's
about
like the
anyone
least
before
terrible
Clinton.
of them all.
I don't know about anyone before Bill Clinton.
Well,
And
Ronald Reagan was a piece of shit.
Bill
Yeah.
Clinton wasn't absolutely horrible. Although he was pretty, he was pretty bad for some things. Although he was pretty good for other things. Like, yeah, Hillary Clinton is
A
just
surplus instead of a deficit. Good thing. Imprisoning more people than any other president ever. A bad thing. Making laws that helped incarcerate more African Americans than white people and then keep them there longer because we were making or are making money off of it. Bad thing. But
well.
he's,
Here,
it's pretty
here's
much a
here,
mixed bag because he did do, like you pointed out, he did some good stuff, he did some bad stuff.
he did. He was better than Bush and not as good as Obama and much better than Trump. Okay, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
So here,
Absolutely.
so like, like the problem with Clinton and the problem with Clinton supporters, right, is that first is part of the reason her husband was terrible. Someone came out, and with all the sexual harassment and everything stuff going on with Trump, I forget who it was, but someone's like, Bill Clinton raped me, right? And Hillary Clinton's response to that was basically, I will destroy you if you make this public, right? So
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton is literally a rape apologist when it comes to her husband. So
Yep.
like,
Yeah, but when you're a politician, you have two options. You either dump your husband or you use them. And I honestly think that Clinton's just using her husband. Like, I'm going to create this persona of the faithful wife who stands by her man no matter what. Because
That is a way you could use it.
this was during her campaign, right?
yeah.
This was during her campaign. So like, and of course the person who accused her, who accused them was probably only coming out because they didn't like Hillary Clinton. Well, I mean, it's obvious of why they wouldn't like the Clintons, but like, she's a hypocrite. She is an absolute hypocrite.
Oh, absolutely.
Calling
100%.
Trump a sexual predator and then defending her sexual predator of a husband.
Oh yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying when you have
I'm
a
saying that
situation
was
like
part of
that,
the problem.
when you have a situation like that, like you pretty much have two options. You can either dump the husband or you can give this picturesque,
to further
you're the
your political
perfect marriage thing, which Trump is also trying to do, which is kind of funny to watch because you can tell Melania does not like him. She's only there
No.
for the money.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
she
I mean, like
loathes and
every,
detests
I think
that man.
back to, back to Obama not sucking. I think that Obama might be the only president known who wasn't a sexual predator, at least in
Right.
modern history, right? Like we had, okay, maybe not FDR.
No, 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 no,
Oh, no,
no.
Oh yeah, no. Well,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of his later years, not his earlier
He
years.
died in the saddle for Christ's sake.
I might be thinking of someone else then.
Now Eisenhower, if I remember correctly, was fairly decent.
Okay, yeah, Eisenhower. He would be fairly decent.
Truman as well.
And then there's Johnson, who
Oh,
would
geez.
do everything to show off his Johnson.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be walking around with his wang hanging out of his pants the whole way. And Kennedy, we know that Kennedy's indiscretions were legendary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not talking about indiscretions, right? I'm not talking about, indiscretions. I'm talking about like being a sexual predator. I don't know enough about precedents except for the ones in recent memory to make any kind of.
I've had some resting
Judgments on
IQ. I had a few hours sleep. I woke up at about let me see, about 5.5 hours ago.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
she got
Carter was a very, very honorable man. Very honorable man. Somebody I would like to meet.
Who?
Jimmy Carter.
Oh, okay.
Terrible president, but very honorable
Yeah.
man.
Well, we have one of those. The only conservative I would ever put in charge of my country. His name is Joe Clark. And he's called Honest Joe Clark because he's too honest to be a
Yeah.
politician. Somehow he won an election. He was a low-key, extremely he didn't get a whole lot done. He was low-key, like he was solid, but he didn't do a whole lot. But I would put him in charge before I would put a lot of even the liberal people in charge. But of course, after the after the entire right wing merged back in the early 2000s, he basically come out and said, "Vote against my former party." Vote for the end. I can't tell you to vote for liberal because I fought against them for like 30 years in everything. Go vote for the NDP, who are our farthest left party that matters.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. You know what we need to do? We need to elect Sylvia president.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
better president
Still
than
great
Trump.
president. Yes, we does.
that would be great. You know,
I'm down with that.
She would be the tuna party.
someone told me that when I'm presenting dude like this, I look like a trans guy, not a cis guy.
You look like you. I don't know how to classify you.
That's
What
great.
a weird comment.
I like it.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I don't care what gender people see me as. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I'm in boy mode. I'm presenting as, as I have for a long time as a cis guy, even though I'm not cis. But like I would not, care if people were seeing me as a man because that's kind of how I'm trying to get people to see me. But if I were presenting how I was a few hours ago, then people seeing me as a guy I wouldn't necessarily like it because that's not necessarily the point. Even though I am a guy, I'm still a girl, and yeah, I'm weird. No, I was just thinking, I'm actually doing pretty decent for the looks here, looking at myself at the camera.
You are.
So
are indeed. You're kind of like goals when it comes to like when I think of my little cousin all grown up.
okay.
I'm like, I hope you turn out a little bit like me. Like, hopefully things work out for you.
Thanks.
My cousin is the one of 3 children that was born intersex in our family, and that's the one that unfortunately her parents did have the surgery done whenever she was
Oh.
an infant. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can.
So I tend to kind
Wholeheartedly
of worry about her.
100% against that.
You and me both. I think it's straight up child abuse. If
What,
it
the
isn't
so-called corrective
let me preface
surgery?
that. If it's not medically needed for some reason,
Yeah.
because sometimes there is a medical emergency, but
What?
if you're
Most
just
of the time,
doing
it's
it
just
just to
done
do
for
it,
cosmetics. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
When
And
you-
I
you-
think that that's
Ooh.
abuse.
You're
It's
speaking
straight
of
up
the
abuse.
you're speaking of the so-called corrective surgery for the intersex kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever I hear about that, the first thing I think is David Reimer.
Yeah. Except for David Reimer was a cis man.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
not and he was dyadic, not intersex. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, no, there was a botched circumcision, and I'm also equally against circumcision.
Me too.
But like,
But I mean that whole thing, doing that whole correction thing and forcing a change that may not be indicated.
yeah,
I mean, we know it was not indicated in Reimer's case. He was, as you say, a cis
Yeah.
man. With the intersex kids, who knows how they're going to identify?
Exactly.
Yep.
Just let them grow up. You know,
Right.
why do you have to put so much pressure on a child to perform something you think they should be performing? Like, just let them be. What happened to the whole, oh, we just want kids to be kids bullshit? Obviously, it's bullshit. Otherwise, if you really wanted kids to be kids, you would let them,
Well,
as opposed
just let
to
kids be
trying to force
kids.
them to have surgery to conform to your way of thinking and
Well,
ideas.
that's it. Let the kids be the kind of kids we want them to be.
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I've never had any problems with being brought up as a boy, but then again, I am. I'm just also a girl. So like that was, and my parents were never like horridly, my parents just let me basically raise myself to an extent, so they wouldn't have even cared.
Yeah.
If I was, being gender non-conforming and stuff like that.
I just hope that in today's society, with how much we've changed in, you know, things like intersex or things that a lot more people know about than 5 years ago, 10 years
Yep.
ago. 10 years ago, when I tried to talk about intersex people, everybody just went, what? Oh, you mean those hermaphrodite people? I didn't know that was real. That type of shit. So, I mean, we
Yeah.
have come a long way, even though we have a very long way to go. And
I mean, I've
it
long.
gives me a little bit of hope for people like my cousin, because I'm hoping with the Overton window, if you will, regarding gender being moved in a certain direction, I'm hoping that their parents won't feel pressured to do what so many other parents have done, like keep it a secret, not tell them, get on to them or try to correct their behavior when they do something that they see as opposite gendered to the way that they're being raised.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And hey, our at one point on our show last night, there were more the dyadic people, which basically means not intersex. It's the intersex version of cis. The dyadic people were outnumbered by the intersex people 2-1, and that's assuming that I'm not intersex, and I have reason to believe I might be. I just don't have the money for a karyotype. So if it was that, they would have been out. Then there would have been 5 intersex people and 1 dyadic person on the stream.
That's great.
So yes,
Well, this is one of many reasons why I love going in there. Like you guys have the kinds of conversations like on Nuanced Nonsense. Y'all have the types of conversations that I used to have with my friends in high school, and that like I used to, get asked about by all the adults around me, and I would, firmly correct them and be like, "That's not true. That's a myth." And you're not using the right term, and this is just like
yeah, it actually so I was in a group called Gender Journeys as a support group, and we had 2. We had the first one, which is where I got that certificate behind me, and that one was kind of just an information group. We'd go in, we'd get a bunch of information, and then we might talk a bit about other things, but it was a very, here's the information that you need, to get through government red tape and all that kind of bullshit. And then we had another one, which was that was the core group. We had another one, which was the Beyond group, which was basically just, choose a bunch of topics for discussion and discuss it over lunch, basically. And that is where a lot of my format actually comes from for the show, is I'm doing kind of the same thing that we were doing for the Beyond group, and just taking it out to the general internet to get people on to talk about it.
That's great.
Yeah. So it is kind of an extension on that, because I really liked those. They were great. And Nikki, we had her on. We met in the core group, but she actually didn't go to the same Beyond group as me. And we've had Cara in the
mandatory learning.
Yeah. And we had Cara in the chat a few times. She was also in my core group.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but she didn't go to the Beyond group. She was she's been transitioning for a couple of years. So yeah, but that's where a lot of that's where a lot of it comes from. And we want to do other stuff too, but that stuff is just easy. And like I said, we're both busy. We've both been feeling icky at certain points in time and all of that. So
yeah. But
I think we're also doing a lot of good with our show. And we're getting popular. So it's a slow growth, but it's a growth. We're hoping to get
growth.
Yeah, exactly. We're hoping to get some more, well-known people on. Of course, we love Shannon. She loves us, so she comes on pretty much all the time.
Yes, I love when I see Shannon pop up. I'm like, yay!
Yep, and I've just been like, hey, do you want to come on and talk with some non-binary people again today? Yeah, sure. So we tried to get Suris on once, but he couldn't make it. We've had Godless Cranium and Caitlin Chloe on as well. So, and
yeah.
I like I said, I was being lazy and I was being busy and I was being tired, so I didn't even have anything set up until about until some point last Thursday. And then I had 2 new people offer to come in. Only one of them did, but we still had a new person, and that's kind of one of the things I want to continuously get new people on the show who've never been on the show before. Just because they will improve they'll get the word out to more people as well, right? And we have a lot of people coming in from both the atheist and the trans communities, so that's great. We want to do a show with Jimmy on Dear Mr. Atheist. So on that channel, And it was Jenny's idea. The show topic was Jenny's idea. We were actually going to ask you to come in, Diana, but we haven't heard back from Jimmy, so we don't know. But it was like how religion negatively impacts trans people,
Oh boy.
or something along those lines. I mean,
I love
Jenny is an ex-Christian. We were going to get Alanis, aka Atheist Tea Girl, on, and I think someone else. I can't remember who at this point. And we were going to talk with and we were going to have talk with, because that's like gets his atheist and LGBT audience interested in the show, and we were going to dual stream it, and we're going to shill ourselves, because the whole thing started with Jimmy saying that with
whenever he talked about his own experience, like
Yeah,
how
well-
he was transphobic.
yeah, exactly. Well, we want to get both audiences involved and interested, right? So, okay, now okay. I don't know if you're talking about me. I'm non-binary, but I'm not gender fluid. But I don't know if you're talking to me, Orla, and is trans.
There they are.
So Robert, you asked a question about whether someone or not would refer to themselves as a trans woman or man or whatever once their transition is complete. That really depends on the person. Jenny really doesn't. She doesn't really identify as being trans or anything like that. She'll tell you she is, but like it's not a thing for a non-binary person like me with the weird transition that I'm doing. Like I would there is no time when I won't call myself a trans woman. But it gets more complicated when you get into being, non-binary and basically being both.
Yeah, I was just
so-
gonna say
so
being both.
that kind of and I have embraced the label of being trans. So I have no reason to stop referring to myself as trans. So it depends on the individual, like a whole lot of other stuff in the entire LGBT community. How we label ourselves, what we call ourselves, really depends more on the individual person than on
Absolutely.
how the rest of the community thinks.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, and I actually do often just refer to myself as a woman. Like there are very few people who will always refer to themselves as a trans woman or a trans man, or always refer to them. Like even I usually just say I'm a woman unless other important pertinent information comes up. Or in this case, I might, if I were if I was out, if I was out and about, I would probably just say I'm a man at this presenting like this. But I'm weird. If I was presenting as I normally do, I present feminine like most 6 days of the week usually, or more. Then I would probably just call myself a woman. I wouldn't, unless it's unless it's relevant. I don't call myself a trans woman. So yeah, it's
Very
weird. It
much
depends
is
on the
a
person.
Personal, individual thing.
Yeah, most trans
for
people
good
don't.
reason, obviously.
Yeah, but in general, most trans people don't refer to themselves as trans woman or trans man unless it's like a piece of pertinent information, like unless it's actually relevant to
Right.
them being trans.
Exactly.
I think that's a better explanation of
Like
of
going to the doctor for certain things. It's kind of important they know that you're trans because that's going to tell them about, certain
And then there's this
medications that
lady.
you are and are not taking and, things in your blood. And that's, yeah, they kind of need to know that.
yeah.
But,
Well,
Joe Schmo at the gas station does not.
no, and 99% of the time, doctors don't even need to know that you're trans.
Yeah,
Right.
I was
So
talking more just to, like, in terms of something like if you go to the emergency room or like you need surgery, for example.
yeah. Well,
That's
even
something you
surgery
probably
is
wanna
even needing surgery is going to be it's only going to be relevant if if the surgery is in that is in the area of whatever genitals you happen to have at a
Yeah.
time, and it's also only relevant if you've had them changed. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, but like I actually do have a story about a couple of months ago I got a concussion at work. I got a concussion at work and I had to go to the hospital because it was at work. It was only a minor concussion. It was actually not long before our first Nuance Nonsense episode. I went in and I have my first rule: never argue with the intake person or triage ever.
Mm-hmm.
Do not argue with them. They're not there for you to argue with. They're there to tell you what's wrong with you. So and then to get you the fuck out of their face so that they can help the next person who might be even worse off than you. Right? So I went in. I was presenting feminine. I went in. I gave them my my health card with my dead name on it and all that. My picture on it is extremely androgynous though. So I went on and gave it, and then I went to the triage nurse after the intake. And I'm like, okay, I think I have a concussion. I wanged my head off the bottom of a cupboard. And then she, didn't even notice I was presenting feminine or trans. And then until the point, and I wasn't being a jerk over like pronouns or names or anything, because I'm not going to argue with a triage nurse. That's just disrespectful to everybody in the room. And there were some people who seemed that they might have actually been a little worse off than me. So she only clued in that I'm trans when she asked me what medications I'm taking. I'm like, cyproterone, acetate, and estradiol. What are you taking those for? I'm trans. Okay. And I had my name tag on from work, which she hadn't even read yet. And she's like, "Oh, okay. So you go by May then? Yes. Okay, good. Let me just chart that for you." She just put transitioning under medications. And then
there you go.
And then actually the information person, because you have to see 3 people before you see a doctor unless you're like on your deathbed or something. So the next person was, take your actual information, more detailed information than you gave to the other people. And that person actually went and changed all my hospital records. So she changed my gender. She changed my. She didn't change my name, but it was noted on my permanent record that I go by May.
Oh, nice.
So, and after the doctors actually looked at my charts, they and nurses in the green ward, after they actually looked at my charts, they didn't actually like misgender or dead name me or anything. So that was really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at like just how nice and just fluid everything went, and they use that to now like update your record and
so not my provincial records, just
and...
my internal records at the hospital,
right,
at this specific hospital.
But
But
still, like, America is so we're so far from
so
that.
far
It's
yet
just
so close yet so far. But
yep.
like I think a lot of it went so smoothly. Again, is that a lot of it was on my part, where I know a lot of people who would have been like upset with the triage nurse, who would have been going around making a big deal out of it. Um, I know a couple of people like that. A large part of this wasn't. A large part of this was that I wasn't being a jerk to the triage nurse, or really anyone,
Mhm.
because again, it's a hospital, right? Uh, I just my mom is an RN. She works in a nursing home,
Mhm.
in a long term care facility, but still, my mom is an RN, right? I know that she has a horrible job. Um, so I also like I just have a don't and there's people waiting behind me who are sick, right? So I just have a never argue with the triage nurse, or do any, unless the triage nurse is doing a bad job, of course,
Yeah.
right? That's a different thing.
Like if they've triaged you incorrectly and you're bleeding everywhere,
Yeah,
definitely make that be known.
yeah, yeah,
Just let them do their thing.
yeah. If they're like getting in, if you're having to tell them something 3 or 4 times about what's wrong with you, then that's that's a problem. But if they are, if they're taking the information properly, you're not there to argue with them about your name and pronouns. And there are, again, crying children waiting to get triaged, so that they can
Yes.
be told to go to to the green place, or to go to the next person and then go to the green ward, with all your charts and everything. So, um, that's that's just my that's just my that's just how I that's just how I see it, going to the hospital like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, that's my story with our healthcare. I had a similar experience when I had to go get my niece x-rayed last month, um where, you know I'm like, oh, I have to give you my health card. I haven't changed my information yet because I don't want to pay $250 to do it. So here's my health card with all my dead name and everything on it. Um, and I was dressed. I was in a skirt and a, you know, and like a flower top or something. I can't remember what top I was wearing. And then uh, the X-ray technician just looks at my health card, looks at me, and says, "Do you go by any other name?" I'm like, "Yeah, I go by May. Thank you." So that's the kind of stuff that I get. So yeah, I forget where we were going with that. I just wanted to tell my little story there.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's my. Is there any other questions people wanted to ask me? And yeah, I don't find questions offensive. Like I said, Robert, I either find
Yeah.
them. There's three types of questions: questions I will answer, questions I won't answer, and questions that I think are stupid.
Pretty much. Yeah. I
Yeah,
generally, if people are asking me things because they generally want to learn, I'm more than happy to answer. And it is what it is. Like that's how we learn. We ask questions. We wonder. We ponder. As long as you don't take that information and then, go forth and intently misspread it or, use it in such a way as to attack other people and you're using it for good, then, yay. It's a good thing all the way around. So, yeah. We don't know something until we know it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry if you're hearing the jet engine that is the space train as well. I'm actually having a bit of a hard time hearing you, Silver.
My earbuds like to do that sometimes. How about now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my other. Actually, I can plug these.
Robert asked me another question, and that's why I chose the name May. And it's not a stupid question, but it's got an extremely simple answer. My dead name is Matt, and I'm really lazy. So I literally just changed one letter and moved on.
Yeah, you took the easy way.
Yeah.
I know people who change name or parts of their names, whatever, to something similar to what they had. And then there are people like me who changed everything into something that resembles nothing.
Well, I did change my middle name from I did change my middle name from James to Renee.
Okay, fine. That works.
And Renee is the Renee is not the French spelling Renee. It's the English spelling Renay.
Okay.
Yep. So I spell my first name the less common way, May, as opposed to Mae. And of course, it's been spelled Mae. And I get... My given name was Matthew, spelt with one T. Mathew, or MAT for the short, that I strongly preferred over Matthew. And people always spelled it with two T's.
Yeah.
Because that's how most people spell. Now I have people spelling my name May instead, or say Mae instead of May. So, yeah. Kind of. My name is going to be misspelt no matter what happens. And it's always just as annoying. I would actually rather you call me my dead name than misspell my dead name. And it took me a while at work, because people are kind of stupid. But like people, it's only very recently that people have not only stopped using my dead name, for the most part. Only I think one person does, and I haven't bothered to. I don't even think they know I changed my name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I only used to see this person one day a week. Or no, I only see this person one day a week. And it's only for a couple of hours in the morning, and I don't really interact with her, so it's like, whatever. Even though I'm definitely not presenting like a Matt anymore. Like,
somebody wants to be an asshole.
Yeah, no, she's not an asshole. But like, it's only recently that people stopped not just using my dead name, but it's only recently that it's like, okay, you got to change this. You print it out every time, not only with my dead name on it, but my dead name spelt wrong, and I've given you shit for spelling my dead name wrong multiple times already. Before I changed my name, like every time. Can you please stop this? and then it actually took like 2 different people to try to for me to the first person, right, they went and changed it and reprinted out the sheet, but they didn't, but like it's a name list that they have saved. He didn't save it, so the next time they printed it out, it had my dead name spelled wrong on it. So I had to so I went to someone else, like, can you fix this, please? Like, not only is it spelled wrong, it's not even my name anymore. So yeah, they eventually fixed that, and I've been kind of rooting out places where they still had it. Like on my mailbox, they had it. That wasn't a big deal. I'm just like, can you fix this for me at some point? Oh yes, yeah. Sorry, we didn't even realize. Thank you. So yeah, it's mostly good. The only place it exists is in our computer system for like our sign in and out and everything, and on my gaming license. And they legally can't change that until I have my legal name changed. So I don't care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was fun with me getting my
Great Dan.
getting my paperwork changed with Pennsylvania Welfare.
Oh,
Pretty much everybody else, it was good. It went through, but Pennsylvania Welfare, I thought, okay, here's my name, here's the court order, and I get a piece of mail for Diana. Everything's fine. And then I get more mail from Pennsylvania Welfare to Edward. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? And I go back with it. I said, why is that this way when I got the name changed with you guys? I said, oh, okay, let's put it through again, make sure it sticks. And it didn't. And the third time around, finally they got it changed everywhere. But it took over 6 months.
Yeah.
To get them to do it right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I come out at work in March. So, yeah. That's like 4 months later, and it's still, I mean, I could have asked for some of it a while ago, but, and we have here's the thing, we have a lot of new employees, right? Like our turnover before a few months ago was like before last October was near 0, and it's been insane since. So yeah, shit's been going down. So like, I'm wondering how many of the new employees are clocking me as trans, right? Like, and I'm gonna say I wear like tight leggings and I refuse to tuck at work. I wonder how many they all treat me like I'm no different from any other woman. Hell, they even don't care about me in the woman's bathroom, unlike some of the other people. But like, I'm wondering, like, do you know I'm trans, or do you, or like, do you know if it's not? I don't really care if people know, right? But it's like,
right.
I'm just really
you just want to know if they know that you know that they know, like
something like that. I just want to know if I just want to know if they know.
Yeah.
Like there's only 2 people who are giving me any shit anymore. And one of them is just not. One of them is just old and frumpy, and one of them is not quite as old and just I have no idea.
Great Dane asks a little something. Says, I apologize for coming late to the party, but could someone reintroduce Meigay? We've never met. Want to say hi and tell everybody who you are and how cool you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'll do that just after I'm done my. But one of them, when I first come out, I went into like my boss knew I was trans because he's on my Facebook when I come out. so I went in and I asked for my name tag. Like I don't need to wear a name tag, but I asked for one because I'm changing my name. Obviously, I want that as kind of a validation thing for other people. And I wanted I wanted a so I asked him to change all the paperwork and everything he could change without me doing it legally. He's like, oh yeah, okay. So this other person sits in the office, just says, oh, my granddaughter is best friends with someone like you, who actually this is a trans man who actually the person is actually a coworker's son. But aside from that, the next thing she said was, I know people like you. I know someone like you. The next thing she said was, but you're not using the women's bathrooms. And I'm like, you are so lucky that I am not. I was like, you're so lucky I'm not making a discrimination complaint to the boss right now. And actually, the other day I was yesterday was Sunday. Yeah, yes. Yesterday I was like, I'm behind because I'm starting late because I can't walk in because I have a bad leg and I have a doctor's note and all that for the shit. Right. So I'm starting the women's bathrooms after we're open, and I just said, you know what? If this person I'm cleaning the women's bathrooms. I'm not getting out for people. If this specific person who is a manager, starts acting up, I'm just going to file a discrimination complaint against her because I don't have time for this bullshit. So yes, I am May Gay, or May Bowen, or May Griffin. You'll see me as any of the above. I have a podcast called Nuanced Nonsense that I do with Jenny Hoyt. She is my co-host. We usually just talk about trans stuff, but we've done bad actors and the abortion bullshit in Alabama. I go around Twitter saying absurd things like, I am a self-proclaimed dick girl metal maiden, and I am non-binary, bigender, and I was basically being a woman a couple of hours ago. Now I'm being a man, and I'll probably go back to being a woman later. So
May just enjoys confusing the fuck out of everybody. So
yeah, I kind of do.
Yeah, I just got word a little bit ago. Jim Majors is going to be taking the reins from me at the top of the hour. I'm waiting for a link to send all you folks over there. And we're just going to keep this thing going and going and going, sort of like the Energizer Bunny.
I posted that I would go live again. I'm just waiting to see, because I know some people already have either plans or they're thinking about their plans or whatever, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes. So I will stream again. I don't want to do it as late as I did last night because I actually do need to take my medication at the right hour and go to bed. But I'll still be up late, just not 2 days because I didn't sleep for 2 days. So yeah. But I've had sleep now, so hey, I'm good.
How long did you go last night, Lena? Was that 4 hours?
Yeah, just 4 hours.
Okay.
And then I stayed on. I got off mine and I followed everyone else, and so I stayed live for I think 8 or 9 or 10 hours, somewhere in that time frame.
I pretty much died when your part of the show ended. There, it was.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep going, but it was a matter that it was getting more difficult with every passing minute.
Yeah, I was like, we were like, yeah, Diana's asleep. She's totally asleep.
Yeah, I had to go. I was tempted to ask if I could come in last night, but I was just so wiped. Well, I work,
Yeah.
I work on Sunday, and I don't. Oh, I kind of mind working Sunday now, but I usually don't. So the thing is, so yeah, I get up at 6 in the morning. I actually got up early. I got up at like 5:30. So that was going on like midnight. I was tempted to come in, but I was just like, no, I need to sleep.
Okay, kids. Jim's got a entry link
Yay.
posted in the group DM, and I'm just waiting for the watch link to come up, and then we'll be pretty well set.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
going to use the washroom and probably put in a load of laundry or something.
Oh man,
before I
I'm
go into that.
I gotta do.
I'll be
So-
following over to Jim.
But yeah, I'll be
And his fun
definitely be
times.
going in.
Yay.
I'll definitely be going in at some point, and it'll probably take me like 5 to 10 minutes. I just have to, do the housework I'm supposed to be doing, but avoiding. But hey, I clean. I'm a janitor,
Tria.
so I spend all my days cleaning.
Tria flashed us.
Yeah, I'm a little bit not put together,
Oh,
and
you
I
look
really don't.
cute, but I understand. There are
I've-
lots of times
Well,
that I don't want to be on
Okay,
here.
by not put together, I'm wearing the same stuff I was yesterday, and if I'm gonna present myself, I might as well at least change my shirt.
There you go. I mean, I changed
But
from yesterday to today. That's unusual for me.
how?
I actually changed clothes from yesterday
Yeah.
to today. It's becoming more and more
Um,
unusual with me to do something like
But
I've changed
I-
clothes twice today. Well, just my shirt.
but I've been listening, but not really able to interact because my brain is partially checked out. So I'm probably not going to jump over and just give myself more of a break.
Yeah.
But I just want to jump in and let y'all know that if I disappear, it's basically because I'm kind of on halfway mode right now.
Gotcha.
Oh, I know. I've been
Okay, here
Well, I
we
hope you feel
go. Here
better
we
soon.
go. Let me copy the link address, and I am going to drop Jim's show into the side chat here. Okay, I think CC picked it up as well.
Oh,
So yeah, looks like we're gonna have something at the top of the hour or so. Let's find out if Jim's started already.
Yeah.
And-
Quick question.
okay, we're waiting. It
Yep.
says okay. It says 15. It says about 16 minutes to go. So we'll just
Okay.
hang on and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like it's set for 8:10 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Wow, it's
So
like 8 o'clock already. That's-
Reminds me of Major League Baseball, where the first pitch is, like at 7:05 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, does anyone have any other questions for me?
Yeah, what is the meaning of life?
42.
Okay.
Making more life.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Press control while you click it. Open up a new tab. Yeah, okay, fine.
I don't believe I could ever do that. So, yeah, my life is apparently meaningless.
Oh, you're
Well, you're in good company.
I said meaningless, not worthless.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, life does not have inherent meaning. The meaning life has is the meaning we give it.
Yes, yeah, pretty much.
I mean, this is one of the things that really drives me nuts about SJ, about going on and on and on about the ultimate meaning of life is Jesus and all that bullshit. It's like, come on, lady, shut up.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. pretty much.
Oh, let's see. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I'm going to have to buy a new battery for this flip phone because it's losing its charge rather quickly
Flip
now.
phone? Wow.
Say again? Well, what? What?
Oh,
Phone.
is he
flip phone.
already? Is he already ready to go? Let me go to my Twitter.
All right.
'Cause
Who,
I
Jim?
think he dropped a link in there. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, the waiting screen is up. A donor today helps the doc make a way.
Well, yeah.
I like it.
I see that there's a waiting screen on YouTube, but I was just wondering if he was like waiting on people to show up or whatnot.
Yeah.
'cause
Well, he
the
already
link
has
in there.
a join up link in the group DM.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick that
Well,
up.
I'm going to drop out, put my laundry in, and I need to use the washroom anyways, and then I will be back. So, have a
Okay,
good
fine.
one. See you in the next one, eh?
Yeah, sounds
soon.
good to me. I'll hold the fort.
All right.
And we can manage that. While I'm holding the fort here, I'm gonna look for my charger,
Okay, bye.
and I don't mean a charger out of San Diego either. I don't even like American football, so I don't know what I'm doing about that. It's really
I
a
have
lot
to
of
get
fun.
pretty so that I can see my new boyfriend again.
That means that you don't have that much to do.
Oh, you're sweet. And that's not true. I have a lot to do.
Oh
means I need
my!
to
I'll
get
tell you.
No, I'm kidding.
There we go.
I'm gonna show up looking like trash because I don't care.
Okay, fine. That'll work. That will work. Oh, jeez. Okay, there it is, and there's that all set and everything else, and we'll. Yeah, I like the. I like the weight screen that Jim has. It is an automobile with a wooden bonnet, front end of the body. Looks pretty good, actually. A little bit of plywood going there, and okay, there are about 7 people over there waiting, so that's not a bad thing. The clock is going down 11 minutes 20 seconds. So I'm really, really happy that I could pick up another shift here, because Doc is definitely deserving of a hand here. We're still at 900 US dollars.
Yeah, we need
In
to
the-
get to. I want to get to 1,500 in my stream. Like by the time I stream again, I want us to get to 1,500 so bad.
I don't know. It's I would have offered to do some pole dancing, but I would probably rip the ceiling out if I did that.
Oh, Jim just asked who's joining the stream, so I'm gonna go pop on over there.
Okay, fine.
And I'll see you in a minute.
Okay, great. I'll be here until Jim's stream is up and running, and then I'll bring that down, just so we don't have an interruption.
Yeah. All right. Cool deal.
In
I'll see you
the
soon.
stuff. Okay, see you there. Alrighty. What else do we have going on? Tria, you're still here?
Yeah, barely.
Barely?
Yeah. I don't know. I woke up tired today. Like, I just wanted to roll over and go back to bed, but I needed to make sure that all the transportation stuff is set up for Amber's thing tomorrow. So,
Yeah,
and then I realized that if I went to bed and screwed up my schedule, I was going to hate myself, but hate myself at a doctor's office. So.
Oh, boy, moi. I don't know about that. Oh, God, I'm looking at this. Sorry about that, but I'm noticing that the leg flora molar did not do such a good job. I'm going to have to bring up the blowtorch, man, and just go, singe that shit off.
Just don't catch yourself on fire.
Oh, man. I'm trying to remember if I've actually done that before. It's, I know a teacher I had years ago in a science teacher when I was in middle school actually set himself on fire. This guy was doing a demonstration about how different liquids had different coefficients of thermal expansion. You know, you put them in the warm water and they would expand at different rates. One of the liquids was ethanol, which has a very large coefficient of expansion, and he had it over an alcohol burner, and the stuff expanded to where it squirted out, got on his hands, and the burner ignited it. And he ended up bandaged for quite a while. He had second and third degree burns on his hands. That was a rather stupid move he pulled. Because you can do that, and you can screw up by having the expansion tube too short and everything else, but don't do it with a flammable liquid and an open flame at the same time.
Ow, 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 ow.
Yeah. That's why we have electric heating mantles.
Yeah, definitely.
That was
my choices today were to be up and miserable here at home, or be up and miserable tomorrow at the doctor's office. So I figure might as well be miserable today, so hopefully I don't feel like crap tomorrow.
Oh my. That would not be good. That would not be good at all.
No.
No, I've got to do a little bit of looking as far as transportation is concerned. I have a nephrologist appointment next month, and it's one of these things where I have to get transportation, otherwise I spend all day going there. It's not that far from here, only about 4 or 5 miles, but it's not on a bus route.
Ooh.
So to get there, I would, on the bus, I would have to start here, go all the way downtown, which would take, close to 2 hours. And then from downtown back out, which would take close to 2 hours. So it's most of 4 hours.
Yeah.
To go 4 miles, 5 miles. And then you've got to do it again to get back home.
Yeah. We have a similar problem with the office that my sister's going to tomorrow. There is a fairly close by bus stop that's only like 1/10 of a mile away. So, I mean, it's not really that far. But in order to get there in enough time, we would have to leave the house 4 hours earlier than the actual appointment.
That is icky.
Yeah, because
that's the official term, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another bus stop that we can go to, but it is over half a mile away. And that is too much, and it's also not located very well. So I would have to be wheeling my sister and hoping that traffic actually cooperates, because it's one of the busiest parts of town, and I'd have to cross 8 lanes of traffic with her to get from the bus stop to her office.
Wow.
With her in her wheelchair.
Holy fucking
On
shit.
a highway.
Yeah, you would need Rado on that wheelchair there, the rocket assisted takeoff.
Yeah. So fortunately they have transportation sorted. I didn't get a clear answer as to whether or not I can go with her tomorrow, so I'm kind of hoping I can. I can't. I'm going to be Ubering over there, kind of defeating the whole purpose of having transportation. But until she gets the hang of it and she has her own cell phone, which she does not have, I I have to be with her until she gets the hang of it. When it becomes a routine, she'll be able to do it all herself, but it's not routine yet. So,
oh man, the joys! I'll tell you. It's I am thankful that whatever it is that goes wrong, whatever, I'm still able to get around more or less easily. It's got to be absolute hell for Hufflepuff and for you. And
she does all right. It's just our city is huge, and the bus stops are not necessarily always handicap friendly. Because it can take about 5 hours to get all over the city by bus, depending on where you're going. And
that's
unfortunately, it's
So that's most of a workday.
Yeah. So they've improved it so it's not nearly as bad, but the thing is that our city was not built with handicapped people in mind. So a lot of those bus stops are not easily handicap accessible, which is why I'm glad that they've finally stopped being dicks about who could use the transportation services or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they first started providing them more extensively, my sister was told that she couldn't use them because she could walk.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm like, you understand that she can walk, but not very well, right?
Yeah, I was going to say you might take a few steps or something like that, but if you're expecting her to walk 1.5 miles, 2 miles, whatever the hell, that's not going to work.
No. And once she gets tired out, she doesn't recover. So she can do a half an hour walking, but you can't sit her down and have her rest up and expect her to walk again. Once she's worn out, you're done for a while. Her recovery time's usually about 5-6 hours.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and that's there's a lot of involvement there.
Yeah. So, but I was told that they had to do paperwork to show that I was medically necessary to go with her. And I was like, I know that the doctor will sign off on it and say it's okay but it's all being faxed. And you know what happens when people fax things. A lot of times it doesn't get where it's supposed to go.
Which is one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of faxing.
Yeah, but sometimes it's what you gotta do.
And then, of course, you have Jack Webb with just the fax, man. That was bad, I know.
Yes, terrible. But yeah, like I said, if they tell me I can't go with her, I'm going to have to Uber because, like I said, I don't have a cell phone for her. I really need to get her cell phone back.
Did you to poo-poo?
Well, she wasn't using it, so they shut it off. Like, I don't know about what it's like in other states, but in Florida, if you don't use your cell phone once a month, they cut your cell phone off and take the minutes back.
Same here. Yep.
Yeah.
Same here.
And I didn't realize that was a rule. And I didn't realize that. And then when I did, I didn't realize that Hufflepuff was not handling her stuff very well. And found out shortly after that everything had been shut off.
Yeah, they did that to me, and the problem was the phone broke. It would not function. I told them that the phone would not function. They took the account away anyway. Well, they didn't take the account away. They deactivated the account, but still had me listed as being on it. So when I tried to get another account, they said, no, you already have an account. And I said, you idiots, the damn phone is broken. I kept trying to tell you. So they finally got things settled. I actually got an ancient Android this time around, which is better than I had the last time. I can actually look at the bus schedule when I'm waiting for a bus now. But the thing is, I do not rely on that as my phone. I
Yeah.
have the other. I have the flip phone. I'm paying $25 a month for service. This one, it's just basically to have the ability to go online. Jim is starting up now.
Jim
And,
has started.
what I do to maintain my account is I just call from this phone. I call the other phone. But okay, kids, my relief has started up the broadcast, so it's time for me to shut things down and turn it over to him. And I wanted to thank everybody that came by. I want to thank everybody who's here and thank everybody who's not here. And okay, this is a very good thing. Hopefully, we're going to get Doc a car, and all is good. So, in the meantime, I will. Let's see. I'll bring up the page here. There we go. And I will say, thanks a lot, troops. See you on the other side.